with Risto Capit and Lee Morris on the third row. Lee Morris particularly quick in qualifying, though, so we'll keep an eye on his progress as the racing continues. Alex Cooper and David Francic will start from the fourth row with David Fidek and Bart de Vos. Thomas Hinz and Maurice Bracan are on the sixth row of the grid with Olsen and Lopez, Roland and Ayres, Horrell and De Vries. And then the 19th and 20th cars are the two Green Stripes cars. Oh, no, sorry. The Green Stripes cars of Gerrit De Vries and Matt Varley are 18th and 19th. Bens Schubenek will start from the back of the grid. And we've just been told that the comms are back on the stream. So that is good news. Goodness me, we've been chatting away for half an hour and nobody's heard us. But anyway.
Yeah, we could have been saying anything.
So let's go through the grid quickly as we're now on the green flag lap. Diego Baldi will start the race from pole position. And it'll be interesting to see if he can break away from the pack from the start. Florian Geyer, his best qualifying of the season. He lines up second position on the grid. In front of Rudy Van Buren, the Vodbull racing driver. Not so hot in terms of tyre strategy. The car is not as quick as it has been in previous races. But they might win this race yet on strategy. Jarl Tain, welcome back, Jarl. And he's put himself in the top four for his first race back in the British Grand Prix here in GPVWC Super League. What can he do from there? Risto Capit lines up in fifth position in the second of the Vodbulls, still about 0.3 of a second off the pace of his own teammate Rudy Van Buren. Lee Morris, fastest in qualifying initially, and he will start sixth position, carrying his 5-place grid penalty. He is Michael Schumacher this weekend, essentially then. A great qualifying lap, ruined by penalties. Alex Cooper in seventh position on the grid, and he lines up on the fourth row alongside David Francic. That'll be interesting to see what Francic can do to get himself into the top six. David Fidek, a very disappointed ninth position, but he did ask for his first lap to be disallowed as he was worried that it might incur a penalty. Bart de Vos in 10th position, so he puts himself into the top 10 with a flying lap right at the bitter end. Thomas Hinz, 11th position on the starting grid, alongside another new driver for the 2017 season at least, Maurice Bracan. Good to see him back again. Tobias Olsen lines up 13th on the grid alongside Fran Lopez in the second of the Adonis cars. Those cars seem to change colour every single time I see them. They're now, of course, orange and black, McLaren style. Nick Rowland starts 15th on the grid, having put his car into the top 10, but now he too takes a penalty. Welcome to the championship, Michael Ayres in 16th on the starting grid. Let's see what he can do for his team. Ben Horrell will line up 17th. The two Green Stripes racing cars of Gerrit De Vries in 18th position and Matt Varley in 19th position should score well and get home a double points finish if they can just keep their cars running. And Bens Schubenek lines up 20th and last. No Storm Racing team, no Woods Racing team for the rest of the season on the latter, by the way. We'll talk about that more, obviously, following the race. But as we're about to get started, Josh, it's an interesting one. Who's your money on?
Oof, well, smart money's on Van Buren, it really is. And for me, I think from there he's probably got it. But keep an eye on Florian Geyer, second place, great for the Norwegian.
So here we go. The lights are on. The 20 cars are getting ready. Engine revs rise. And we're racing. Great start from Van Buren from the second row of the grid. He's already trying to make his way through. Oh, Fidek! And they actually come together. Somehow Van Buren has made his way through. But Fidek is not going to stand for that. Van Buren fights back in his second position. Risto Capit's coming through. And there's spins. Further back, that's Alex Cooper. Alex Cooper has gone off the road. So Alex Cooper has fallen back a long, long way. He's fighting to recover. And the two Green Stripes cars have come together further back as well. Absolute carnage. But Jarl Tain is off the circuit in his first race back. Jarl Tain having come together with Lee Morris, I think, initially, and hitting the wall big time. Jarl Tain is out on his first appearance back.
Oh, that is a big shame for Tyan. I mean, to go out on his first appearance back, that's going to... He's actually stuck in a wall, I think. That's gone terribly wrong for Tyan. But yeah, to go back to that start incident, it looks like Van Buren went for the gap on Baldy, but they just didn't exist. I thought maybe he did. Yes, Judge something pushed Geyer into the side of the wall there. That's not going to make the German very happy at all. He will be furious at Van Buren for that. But Capit behind, Francic behind, Fidek behind, all giving chase as well. In the meantime, we got the obviously lower points battles as well as the Panic trying to defend Cooper. He's up 5 places from the start. Great start for the Panic. Olsen goes off, and now Lopez is chasing as well. But at the front, at least, it's all Gergo Baldi.
Yeah, Lee Morris has dropped back into 11th position as a result of that start. Cooper down to 16th, trying to fight his way through. And Jarl Tain obviously out of the race with broken suspension. What a disaster. As off the road goes Nick Rowland. Nick Rowland has gone off the road now on the first lap. So he drops down to the back of the grid as Lee Morris and Fran Lopez are both into the pits with damage. Lee Morris's chances of winning his home race have just gone up in smoke. What a disaster for Lee.
Yeah, not great from Morris by any means of the imagination. Van Buren's start was nigh on perfect. As soon as the lights hit green, he went go. It was such a good start from Van Buren, but then he went into Gaia, so that's obviously held him back a bit. He'll now be on those harder tyres, trying to catch up to Baldy on the ultra softs. He might be able to out-strategy him here, but Gaia won't be a happy German at all after being a little bit of contact with Van Buren, of course. Now he's being chased by Cabot for the top 3, and if Bristol Cabot gets there, it's just going to give him even more reason to be annoyed.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Nodzion team tries to throw a penalty towards Rudy Van Buren. They will be protesting that on the start. Rudy Van Buren incredibly aggressive from the second row. He did get a good start, but I think he squeezed out Florian Gaia a little bit too tightly for my liking, and that is obviously a man who knows that in terms of one lap pace, he needs to be able to get his car into a good position to utilize the strategy. And Florian Gaia left out to dry on the outside line with practically nowhere to go, but rubbing against the barrier, and I would not be surprised at all if the Nursian team decide to throw a protest in about that one, or at least review it. David Francic, by the way, he was the real beneficiary from that start line shenanigans there with Lee Morris, Alex Cooper and Jarl Tain, because he is now up to 5th position off the start in front of Fiduk in 6th. DeVosh, Olsen, Horrell and Brakan are running in the top 10, no problem. From Hinz, Alex Cooper, who's now up to 12th. Zupanek has just gone round the outside of Nick Rowland at Stowe. Varley in 15th from De Vries, Michael Ayres, Lee Morris and Fran Lopez. More problems, though, as Alex Cooper now comes into the pits with damage himself. What is happening to the Brits here?
It doesn't seem to be very good outing for the Brits at Silverstone, does it? I mean, looking at the top 5, we haven't got a Brit in sight. You have to look to David Fiduk, who's the first in 6th place, and he's the reigning Super League champion, of course. So you got Francic, Cabot, Gaia, Van Buren, Baldy. Very European affair leading at Silverstone. Not a good day for the Brits at all.
So now all British eyes are on David Fiduk, the reigning champion, and we know how strong he is in the latter phase of a race in Super League. He always seems to be able to put himself into a strong position. At this moment in time, of course, he is in 6th place. Now, remember what I was saying about if the Green Stripe Racing team just motor around, they could get themselves a double points finish. They are currently 14th and 15th on the 3rd lap of the race, so this could double their points haul in one race alone. All they've got to do is just keep on going. But Gergo Baldi leading the way from Rudy Van Buren, who is staying with him. This is where the race is going to be won and lost. The strategy between these two teams, Wouters and Vodbull. But at the moment, Baldi is an equal to Rudy Van Buren on one lap pace. But it's strategy where this is going to be won.
It is strategy where this is going to be won, you know, and obviously with Van Buren being on the different tyres, Cabot being on the different tyres, that might really be a clash of strategies now. Baldy versus Van Buren. It's going to be interesting to see when Gergo comes in, because that'll be an indicator of how long the ultra shots might last under full throttle here. Or watch Gaia for a better example, you know, being behind Van Buren. Look at the gains he's made in the final 2 corners on Van Buren. Obviously that Nolchin car set up for break, and he just gained loads of time back.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lee Morris is lapping as a driver furious with rage because he's just done a purple first sector, 26.1, compared to his second sector time. He just did a 42.2, which was half a second quicker than the leader, Gergo Baldi. So the fastest man on the racetrack is about to be Lee Morris. The fastest lap was a 1:36.3. Just watch it tumble as Lee Morris comes through. 22 seconds or so behind Gergo Baldi, so he's already lost an awful lot of time. But Lee Morris is definitely going to be pushing it. He's just on 1:36.6, so his final sector was not particularly strong. But he is definitely not out of this race yet. Gergo Baldi running out in front from Van Buren, Gaia, Capit, Francic, Fiduk. Ben Horrell seems to be in the midst of an amazing battle at the moment. Thomas Hinz, Ben Horrell and Maurice Bracan having a cracking battle as Ben Horrell has now moved into the top 10 for the first time, past the Adonis of Maurice Bracan, and now he's lining up Thomas Hinz. Big twitch out of Luffield though as they go through Woodcote. Maurice Bracan might have a chance to get him.
Yeah, Horrell for that bright pink helmet, of course, you can't miss him. And Bracan will be wanting to miss him, though. You want to maybe missing him out of his front view mirror and get him into his rear view mirror. Want to get him out of the way, get it to 10. Bracan, as you know, we mentioned, great Supercoach driver. Seems to have adapted well. P11 a good start for the German, definitely.
Well, Michael Ayres is moving through the field with Lee Morris. They are working together as Ayres slots himself behind Lee Morris, who is now up into the top 15. So Morris has got himself into the points again. So Morris, only on the 4th lap, is now looking at championship points. And that, at the end of the day, has got to be his main focus. He knows that he's only 3 points ahead of Gergo Baldi. And Baldi is looking odds on for the win. Baldi's in the pits on lap 4. Baldi's in the pits.
Is that how long the Ultrasofts last? Baldi in, and he's going up. Yeah, they can't last long. He's on the Ultrasofts. No surprises there. If they don't last, he wants to get up as soon as possible. Maybe this is a masterstroke from Van Buren and Vodbull.
I don't believe it. That is how weak the Ultra Soft tyres are. They are only lasting 4 laps at the limit. That is unbelievable. Ben Horrell in the pits as well. And who else is coming in? That looks like Gerrit de Vries is coming as well. So, yeah, 4 laps. 4 laps on the limit on Ultra Softs. That is absolutely appalling. And so now, surely, everybody is going to be making the switch back to Super Softs. Nobody's going to be wanting to run those tyres for the rest of this motor race. And, of course, that means that now that Gergo Baldi has made that pit stop, he has rejoined in 10th position behind the Olsen-Hinz-Brakan battle.
But think of the advantages is going to give the Vodbull lads. They're already on the Ultra Super Softs. They don't have to worry about switching over. They're already on the tyres.
Absolutely, and Florian Geyer keeping up with Rudy Van Buren. This is good news, but this is absolute heaven sent for Vodbull because their cars are still fairly close together, only 1.4 seconds apart. Van Buren and Capit have pulled a masterstroke here at Silverstone. They didn't care about one lap pace, they cared about race victory, and it's clear that the Super Soft tyres are the way to go in terms of building a long strategy. But of course, they are going to need to change compound through the course of this race. Into the pits comes Van Buren and Capit straight away.
Well, this is an interesting one. Van Buren and Capit on the... Oh, they're going to have to stack it as well. That's the thing. Van Buren and Capit, they're going to come in at the same time. Capit is going to have to wait. They're going to have to do something tricky here with the pit stops. But interesting, they're both in already on the Super Softs.
Now, I was just going to wonder, is that a breakdown in communications with the two of them? Did they both want to pit in on the same lap?
Oh, hang on. Capit's just rolling there. He just waits. And Van Buren in there, so not doing anything daft there.
Capit's going to lose track position to Francic. Francic goes through. Capit has been absolutely hammer-blowed there.
Well, that is a hammer blow, yeah. I mean, Van Buren are coming after him so early.
And look, there's Lee Morris. Lee Morris is now right on the back of Risto Capit. It's game on again. Morris has actually saved himself a bit of grace here. And got himself back in a position. If he can now make the tyres last longer, he's back in the race.
Do you know what this has led to as well? A Nordstjen 1-2, and how long has it been since I said that?
Oh, Varley and Roland have had an accident in the pit lane. Varley and Roland have come together in the pits. I'm just watching the replay.
Oh,
and Varley's suspension is broken as a result of that. So Varley is out of the race. That is a disaster for Green Stripes. They really wanted to get both of their cars in the points today, but Varley is out.
Yeah, Roland was coming out of his pit box. He went straight on, and then he just didn't seem to steer out the way. Varley in time went in the back of him. That was not good for Roland, and there might be a penalty, obviously, if it would seem to be a fault there. But that's not good for Roland. But what is good for Nordstjen Racing, thanks to this early pit stop by the Vodbull lads, they are now 1 and 2, and they're making the Ultra Softs last.
Yeah, this is critical for Nordstjen. If they can make the Super Softs last longer, if they can make the Ultra Softs, last longer than anybody else, then they will have a great chance to go for the victory in this race. Into the pits comes Olsen. Olsen is in. Thomas Hinz is coming in as well. That's Maurice Brakan. Maurice Brakan into the pits as well. So Olsen's in. Brakan is in. Nordstjen are still going on these tyres. Geyer and Feidek are still going. Bart de Vos is there in 3rd position. Gergo Baldi 4th. Rudy Van Buren 5th. Maybe Nordstjen have pulled a fast one here on the opposition. They have yet to win a race this year, don't forget. Maybe they've got it right.
Maybe they haven't. It's been a long time, he says, since he's been on the, obviously, reigning teams champions, but winless in 2017. And, Nordstjen 1-2 is where they want to be. Feidek 2nd, Geyer 1st. This is exactly it. David Feidek, we were talking to him in Canada, said he's a bit of a slow burner, gets better towards the end of the season. Perhaps Silverstone going to be the start of a comeback from the reigning champion.
Well, Roland is back into the pits again after his previous visit, courtesy of the damage he picked up fighting with Matt Varley. So now he is down at the back. We've lost Jarl Tyne and we've lost Matt Varley. Everybody else is still going. 18 cars still running the British Grand Prix in the GPVWC Super League. And it's Florian Geyer and David Feidek who lead. Whoa, Nick Roland very nearly losing the car as he exits the pit lane. But Florian Geyer and David Feidek lead the way in a critical point in the race where we try to figure out who has got the best of things in the... who has got the best of things in terms of strategy. Interesting comments from various different people.
Geyer in the pits now from the lead, so Feidek will come down into 2nd place. De Vos actually in as well, so Feidek will take the lead. Interesting, De Vos follows Geyer in as well. Of course, that car now statistically the best car as well. De Vos 3rd in the running, could be on for podium for a team that have really found success recently.
Well, Chris Shepherd has written, in terms of strategy, his tyres weren't gone. Now, who is he talking about? That's an interesting one we're trying to pick up on. But there's a couple of drivers who we need to keep an eye on as well. A rare slip-up with the Vodbull Motorsport strategy, says Matthew Allington. No team communication between Vodbull, says Jeff Fournier, asking questions. It's very interesting. Never at this point of the race would you pit two cars on the same pit as well. Oh!
Van Buren there on the outside, trying to go past Baldy, but Gergel gets it back on the braking. Well, that was almost through there for Van Buren. But yeah, as we talk about the Vodbull strategy, what were they thinking coming in so early on the harder compound? They should have been able to get more time out of it. So why have they come in so soon?
And Lee Morris, of course, has just pitted as well. As here comes Van Buren. Around the outside, Rudy Van Buren. Gergo Baldi trying to hold him to it. Goes wide onto the curb. Rudy Van Buren is going to get past him, but Gergo Baldi can line him up again for Maggots and Beckett. Now, this is very interesting. Rudy Van Buren getting aggressive here at Silverstone. We saw him at the start, and now battling away with Gergo Baldi. This is a position we've not really seen Rudy Van Buren be in various times over the course of the season. But Rudy Van Buren now backing himself into a corner where he has to get his elbows out.
Elbows firmly out as well. And I saw from Matthew Alton there in the comments that Silverstone's pit delta is quite low, so you might be able to get away with more stops, and that is true. So Feidig being in the pits now isn't going to hurt him too much, I guess. But Van Buren is going to reassume the lead of the race from Baldi in second, from Guy at third, Frančić fourth, Capet fifth, probably, maybe. But in the grand scheme of things, that early pit stop could hurt Vodbull Motorsports. There's Roland out.
And Feidig is into the pits as Roland retires. So David Feidig is pitting in. What happened to Roland? He had a slow car at the first couple of corners. I think he just suddenly realised, you know what, this isn't going to happen for me today. The car pulls off and Roland's race is over. So definitely some technical difficulties. Now, Rudy Van Buren leads the race from Gergo Baldi by 0.9 of a second. Geyer is third. Capet is fourth. Feidig has rejoined behind Bart de Vos. Now, that is an interesting position for him to be in. Matthew Allington says Baldi and Rudy Van Buren miles ahead of Florian Geyer at the moment, but that could play to Florian's favour later, so that's worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, of course, Geyer not allowed to win this season either. No jinx. He's had 2 seconds, though. He's threatened it several times. We know Geyer has the pace for a race win, but can he actually go out and get it? I'm sure he'd be a very happy German if he did, and it would obviously make a great result for Norwegian.
So Van Buren leads, Baldi second, Geyer is now third from Risto, Capet in fourth. Look how much time Capet is... there's an incident further back as that's David Frančić off of Kops. David Frančić has gone off of Kops, battling away with Bart de Vos and David Feidig. Sorry. So David Frančić has had an incident there. He was in front of them both. Just watching as they go into Kops' corner. He was defending for Bart de Vos and then got tagged by both de Vos and Feidig. So that is a big problem there for David Frančić, and I wonder if his team are going to have a word with the officials about that one.
Oh, Feidig just on the entrance there of just that corner. I think he just came across into de Vos there. Just maybe misjudged it slightly, but maybe Stewart and Query are going to go on into that if they get protested. But yeah, Feidig actually, no, wait, I tell a lie. It was de Vos who lost it himself on the break, and there was no contact there.
Right, Baldi's in the pit. Baldi's in the pits for the second time, so Baldi now leaves the pit. Now, where is he going to get back onto the circuit again? That is critical, because into the pits as well comes Cooper coming in as well. So Baldi rejoins in front of David Frančić. Cooper is in the pits as well. Lee Morris has gone through into 13th position, just trying to keep an eye on some of the key players in this one. Van Buren now has 4.7 seconds lead on Florian Geyer, as Matthew Allington makes the point, only 6 laps on the Supersoft. That's a very interesting point as well.
Yeah, very interesting if these teams can't make it last. Baldi and Olsen having a thunderous battle here for 6th place as well. I'm just trying to keep an eye on it, but yeah, if the Supersofts aren't lasting, and maybe the likes of Norwegian can make them last, they might get away with less stops, and that might help them in the long run. But remember that the pit delta is low as well as Baldi. He can't look down the inside of Cops yet, can he?
He does it! Oh, he does it. That's a monstrous overtake from Gergo Baldi. That is all about confidence in that position. He knew that he had to assert his position there in front of Tobias Olsen. I am not letting you through, Charlie. This is my moment. I am coming through, and Baldi has bought himself a chance to go for the victory with that kind of move. Meanwhile, Lee Morris is struggling at the moment to keep in front of Maurice Bracan as he closes up on Ben Horrell as well. So great 3-way tussle. So Maurice, Bracan and Horrell. Horrell is in 10th position. He actually has to take a smoother line to the inside line, and this is going to be Morris storming past him surely. But watch for Maurice Bracan. He's going to want to try and get on the inside of Stoke Corner as well. Morris again asserts himself beautifully on the inside.
Oh, not wide enough, unfortunately, for Horrell to get back through, and Horrell dives into the pits of results. Maybe thinking I can get fresher rubber on here and get you back later. But Brackhorn is just going to go for Morris now. Morris will be devastated with his 11th. He'll be thought he's going to be up in the top 3. He'll be thinking, what on earth am I doing down in 11th?
Now, this is how to do it. Look at the pit lane. Francic is in. Horrell is in as well. Oh, Francic, they've had a bad stop. I was going to say that's how to do it, but Horrell has actually been impeded there because Francic came in on the same lap. I think they were a little bit cocky there. They felt that they could do a decent stop for both of them and not lose time. But Francic now rejoins. Well, the only man really around him now is Alex Cooper, who, of course, had that damage at the first part. Ben Horrell rejoins in 16th, but that has gone horribly wrong. The team really looked to have a decent strategy on them there, but it's not come off well. Meanwhile, there's chatter on the chat room about the David Francic move. According to Nero Tiberius, Francic moved over too late as Bardavosh was already attacking, and Jeff Fournier says he had what he deserved. I'm sorry to say. I have to say, having looked at that incident myself, I guess that was a little bit too hasty from David Francic, and absolutely he has paid the price, now down in 14th. Now, Rudy Van Buren was 4.5 seconds clear of Florian Gaia. The gap is down to 3.5 as Van Buren pits. Now, that says to me that the Nordian is quicker over 1 lap still than the Vodball. That's interesting. Gaia has made up a second on Van Buren through the pit stop phase, and they're doing it again. Look, Vodball are double stinting. Now, they've got to hope that Van Buren has a decent pit stop, or Risto Capit is going to be hopping mad here. Down the
I think he's going to get out. I think he's going to get out. Yep, off he goes. Thunders off. Capit straight in afterwards. Well played indeed. They only have to hold each other up once now. Capit doesn't have to worry about it anymore. But DeVos is going to be so close to Van Buren on the exit here. Tries to get him around the outside, but Rudy's just there. That would have been devastating if he'd gotten through.
Absolutely. Bardavosh could easily have ruined the Vodball strategy right there and then, but Rudy Van Buren holds on to his mark. And interestingly, once again, Rudy Van Buren exits behind Gergo Baldi. This is very indicative of a team that is determined to try and make up for their 1-lap deficiency in terms of strategy. This is interesting. Now, Nero Tiberius actually says about Gergo Baldi, I reckon it will be a record 10-stop race for him. Baldi is on the ultra stops now, says Matthew Allington. I see he's going for a 15-stop strategy or something. This is definitely going to be a double figures pit stop race at this rate, Josh.
I can't say that I like that, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm all right with pit stops, there being 5 or 6, but like 15's taking the biscuit, really. I mean, when you've got tyres that work as well, the ultra softs, I guess you can't really blame them. But it's not something I particularly agree with as a viewer. You know, I don't want to see cars constantly in the pits.
No, indeed. And obviously, you know, every driver out there is going to choose the fastest tyres possible. But if the fastest tyres possible are only lasting 4 laps, then you've got to consider whether they're right to use in terms of the spirit of the sport. So it's an interesting one there. Bardavosh is on the softs as well, according to Nero Tiberius. Kerner was the only team without ultra softs, according to Jeff Fournier. So we're looking out for that. But yes, the Kerno team running on ultra softs at the moment. Oh, sorry, running on super softs and mediums, but they're not actually. Oh, sorry, super softs and softs, I should say. They're the only team that have not opted to go for ultra softs. So we'll see how they go over the course of the race. Meanwhile, Maurice Brackham and Bet Zubedek are battling away for 10th position. They're still scrapping. Rudy Van Buren has caught up to Gergo Baldi. So this is going to be the battle out on track as Fran Lopez pits in.
It is, and this is technically a 3-way if he got fighting. He's a bit ahead, but Baldi could catch up if he gets a sprint on. But Van Buren is obviously the more immediate threat to the Hungarian as they come into the turn here. Van Buren is not going to be able to get through here, of course. Maybe he can chuck it into the inside of Kops, I don't know, but it's going to take some very brave manoeuvring. Awesome wideness from Baldi, and Van Buren to take advantage of it.
I think Vodball Racing are running scared here on strategy. They know that Nordsjön have a quicker car and Wouters have a slicker pit stop strategy. Here goes Van Buren, dicing up the inside. He will not be denied from Gergo Baldi. Baldi sticks his nose in round the outside. They come together! They come together, and Baldi has had to really make himself a little bit more easygoing on the outside to get the car going. Now, what will the stewards say about that? Because you can bet your bottom dollar that Wouters is going to talk to him. Gerd Wouters will talk to the stewards about that one.
I don't actually think there was any contact. I think it was marginal, Jake. But Baldi had oversteer anyway, coming through Kops. And then he just flicked to the left. I think he lost it on his own, just flicked it to the left. It was very marginal. It could have been contact that we just didn't see. But I doubt there was actually any contact. If I was stewarding that, I would have said that Baldi lost it on his own. But, you know, that is going to want to be possibly looked at as Baldi, maybe on his side, felt he was went into.
I'm just watching the replay back from on board Gergo Baldi, and it looks to me as though the rear left of Van Buren's car did tag the right front of Gergo Baldi's Valters Automotive. So if that is the case, then they're definitely going to want to put a case in for that one, as Lee Morris now pits in from 8th place. A nightmare race this is turning into for Lee Morris as he just waits to get back into contention, pushing like crazy. He's going to have to do another, 40 qualifying laps to get himself back into contention again. Michael Ayers pits as well, but Rudy Van Buren is now closing up to David Feidek. Feidek, interestingly, is now gaining ground on Florian Gaia. Do we think Gaia might be about to pit again?
Yeah, Feidek gaining, and of course reigning champion as well, but he's under threat from Van Buren, let's not forget. So he's got Rudy Van Buren under his really in terms of threat here, but we all know David Feidek, Mr. Consistency. He is cool under pressure, always a cool customer, knows his stuff. He's the reigning champion for a reason, and he knows how to drive a Super League car. He will not be bothered in the slightest by the existence of Van Buren behind him, because he knows he can make his tyres last longer than the Dutchman's. Well,
Matthew Allington writes on YouTube, no contact between the two of them, so I've clearly seen it wrong. Thanks for that, Matthew. That gives us a little bit more clarity on the situation, and if that's the case, then of course that means that Rudy Van Buren will not get a penalty for that one. Tom Parker writes, it's Rudy's corner anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Here comes Rudy Van Buren, chucks it up the inside of Stone. David Feidek, now there definitely was contact that time.
Yeah, I think he just outdid himself into that turn there, Van Buren. Feidek's going to hold down the inside. He's going to disadvantage Van Buren, but he gets on the brake, and Feidek's still on the inside, though. He still exists, but it's not enough for Van Buren. Who gets through, gets squiggly. Perhaps contact there, Baldy in the pits and all this. But, well, that was not without controversy from Rudy. There definitely was contact last time. I saw it. He just came, he battled on the inside, just hit Feidek there, maybe overshot it, but then got through cleanly later. Feidek won't be happy, but he knows he can out-strategy him. He knows he can make the tyres last longer, and perhaps that's going to be some consolation for the reigning champ.
No debate about that one. That definitely was contact. I'm just watching back on the replay. He chucks it to the inside as late as he dares into Stowe. He has got the inside line, but the car does travel further to the left and nudges the Nordsian wide. So there's definitely a case there for Nordsian to have a go at Rudy Van Buren. And that's a really interesting debate. Is there going to be some kind of sanction handed out, or will they just leave it as it is? Meanwhile, Florian Gaia leads the race by 6.9 seconds. Feidek in third position now behind Rudy Van Buren. Risto Capit in fourth, so it's Nordsian, Vodbull. Nordsian, Vodbull. Bart de Vos now fifth. Gergo Baldi having had his latest pit stop. His third pit stop on the 14th lap of the race, by the way. He is now in sixth position. Tom Parker writes, Rudy is just absolutely insane for that outside overtake. He certainly is. He knows how to put that car. He's obviously got so much confidence in this package, Josh. He just has absolutely no conviction, no hesitation. He knows what the car can do, so he will just make mincemeat of the opposition.
Yep, Gaia in the pits as well, as we suspected. He is coming in, so Van Buren, whether he'll follow or not, he won't follow. He will not follow. Feidek is joining his teammate, but there's enough of a gap so that they won't stack up. Interesting from Nordsian. They are making those tyres last longer for Feidek and kind of come in now. And obviously Van Buren will take the lead of the race, but he'll have older rubber by the time the Nordsians come out. And then Capit probably going to go through in a second as well, or be close there or thereabouts. Yep, I think Capit will go in a second. But then Bart de Vos is going to be close as well. He's on the soft tyres. I think you only want to be on those tyres as well. So interesting stuff from de Vos.
Yeah, Guy is playing the long game here. He's still very much my favourite for the victory long term because he is making that car work very well. He's rejoined right behind Risto Capit. Now that is interesting because Capit's going to need to pit fairly soon. So what kind of inroads can Florian Gaia make to the Estonian? This is going to be very interesting to observe. Bart de Vos in fourth place. Gergo Baldi has rejoined about a corner in front of David Feidek, who rejoins in sixth. Hinz is now seventh from Francic, Olsen, Cooper and Morris. Now in the pits, we've got Ben Schupanet returning to the track. Morris Brackhardt is coming to the pits as well. It's all starting to settle down a little bit in terms of the crazy strategy out in front. But now we've got Lee Morris sizing up Alex Cooper. This is a great battle down the straight. Lee Morris has already got him down to the braking zone. So Morris is up to P10.
Improvement then for Morris, a crucial improvement as well, and perhaps maybe even crucial if we get a change in the weather. Matthew Allen saying, all those grey clouds, I say, they are, Matt. You can definitely see the clouds forming in the air. Only a 7 or 5% chance of rain, but that's enough. If it could come down, I mean, there's clouds outside here in Newcastle as well, so it's not just Silverstone, but, you know, there could be rain if the drivers are unlucky enough.
Absolutely. Tom Parker writes, this is going to be Nordstjern's strategy versus Rudy's pace, in my opinion. Risto isn't out of it either. He was quicker than Rudy at various points, so that's a good point. There are points of the circuit where Risto Kappert is actually stronger than Rudy Van Buren. This is going to be potentially the most difficult race of the season so far to call in terms of strategies. Bart de Vos pits in from 4th place. He's looking for a solid top 6 finish if he could just keep the pace of this car up. I'm not really sure we're going to see him on the podium today unless other drivers have incidents. But this is a very interesting battle. As now Florian Geyer is right on the back of Risto Kappert. We have not seen this before, really, this year. The Vodbull is just absolute cannon fodder for the Nordstjern. Geyer is absolutely lapping him up.
They have a better car now coming into this race here. Geyer down the inside of Kappert. Won't be used to this for certain, but here we go. Florian Geyer dives down the inside. No questions asked, no problems had whatsoever. Straight through for the German into second. Kappert won't be happy about that. That is for certain. But interestingly enough, we talked about Bart de Vos. He's now on the super soft. He's changed from the regular softs to the super. It's going to go on a quicker tyre in that Kernel car. Chase down the legs of Olsen, who is now going to try and get through here. Down the outside, but Olsen exists and contact, and Tobias there held the inside and now tries to go down the inside, maybe a bit more. Olsen on the ultra soft, remember, softer roller, but De Vos straight through.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, that was a very brave manoeuvre because basically you're at that point of the circuit where the car is turning round to the left and the car is actually travelling through the apex of the corner as you try to hug the inside line, and the car was travelling into the car on its right. That was a very high-risk situation, a little bit of a volatile battle between the two of them, and to be perfectly honest, that was high risk. Rudy Van Buren coming into the pits behind Gerrit de Vries. Now, if he gets held up here in the pits, that could be very critical for the strategy. Risto Kappert coming in as well, so Guy's going to take the lead. Interestingly, Baldi and Feidek, I think, are both going to get through as well. It will be close, but I think Van Buren's going to drop to 4th here.
Perhaps so, Van Buren in, and obviously he'll be out again straight away. Kappert in behind as well. Got to watch out for the green stripes as well, but he comes out without issue. And Baldi, I think, has actually gotten through on Van Buren, so that's great for him. Feidek's going to be close, but no cigar for the Englishman. He'll be in a direct fight with Van Buren, though. We saw Guy get past Baldi. Will we see Feidek get past Van Buren?
Well, Hinz is in the pits as well, so too Alex Cooper, but Van Buren has actually beaten Feidek out of the pits. That is interesting. So the Vodbull pit time should beat GSR as far as Tom Parker is concerned. Matthew Allington agrees and concurs easily. So that is obviously in relation to Green Stripes Racing. It was more whether they got held up on the way into the pits rather than during the actual pit stop. Florian Geyer leads, Gergo Baldi second, Van Buren third from David Feidek. This is a critical lap for Van Buren. He really needs to get on with this now. He cannot afford to fall into the clutches of David Feidek and lose a position here. It would be critical for his race strategy, but he's not too far behind Gergo Baldi either. So there's some really interesting race battles to play out at the front here. I still don't know who's going to win this.
I've got no idea either. This is very much open in the air here. I've got no idea who's going to come out of this as the race winner, especially with all the potential variables he got in play here. But Florian Geyer at the 1/3 mark, got to be the favourite.
Well, Rudy Van Buren has definitely got the strategy of the team on his side. They're very quick in pit stops. They'll save time there, but on one lap pace, they're even struggling in terms of the Wouters car. Rudy Van Buren doing a great job to close up to Gergo Baldi, but there have been times where they've even been struggling to match the pace of Baldi. So this is going to be a really interesting battle. Florian Geyer with his best chance yet to win. But at this point in the race, Josh, you've got to think about this in terms of the long game for Nordstjern. Now, David Feidek is in 4th position. 7 seconds back from the race leader. Do they now prioritise taking a win of Rudy Van Buren, or is it too early to do that yet? Are they still in a position where both of them have to go for it?
Well, I think everyone in the top 5 has to go for it, to be honest, because the inconclusiveness of this whole scenario. Van Buren tries to go on Baldi there, but it just fails because he's not close enough, not going to have the run, maybe at the cops, but Baldi will be very defensive here. I'd love to go on board with the review camera on Baldi's car, just showing how close Van Buren is on this Silverstone track as he accelerates towards Cops Corner.
Well, I tell you what, Matthew Allington was absolutely right. There are cloud covers ahead as here goes side of Baldi. Baldi this time has learnt from his battle earlier on. I am not going to give him an opportunity to get through. Now they are side by side into Maggots. Surely Van Buren can't get through there. He doesn't. Baldi holds it to the inside line. Cracking battle between Gergo Baldi and Rudy Van Buren as once again Gergo Baldi has learnt his lesson against Rudy Van Buren. Do not leave him an opportunity on the inside, because he is going to throw it up the inside. He is going to go for it. Now, watch this. Rudy Van Buren is actually going to get him before they even get to the braking zone. That's an absolutely amazing move from Rudy Van Buren off the turn. Diego Baldi throws away to try and get out of his slipstream, but it actually is no doing as Baldi decides to throw it into the pits. But Matthew Allington made a very good observation. There's a lot of clouds coming in over the bottom end of the circuit. That could cause a real issue.
It could if they actually decide to brake, but you know, we never know. They could just exist and pass over. We don't know what's going to happen with them. That's the thing. They're a very variable thing here, and it could throw the race up if it does decide to chuck it down. But Van Buren second, Cabot fourth. Interesting battles. Baldy's obviously just come in and he's coming out again. DeVos might get through as well. Morrison, he's in seventh. This is a great result so far and a good comeback. Lots of battles going on up and down the field at the moment, but really, a couple of real drivers who could consider danger men. Gaia, one of them as well, making those tyres last and leading this race by some considerable distance from Van Buren.
Tom Parker makes a very good point. Rudy Van Buren caught up to Florian Gaia a little bit. He took a big chunk of time out of him, almost a second on Florian Gaia, despite having to get past Diego Baldi. So clearly at this phase of the race, Rudy Van Buren has got a good car underneath him. We know that Florian Gaia is going to need to pit any moment now, and it could even be at the end of this lap. But Rudy Van Buren is not giving up on this one at all. There is still a good chance he could go for the victory. But look how dark it's got over Maggots and Beckett's as they go towards the hangar straight. This is getting to be a very volatile situation as the rain clouds are starting to gather over Silverstone. We know how quickly and how heavily they can brake. 98 British Grand Prix Silverstone is a case study in point. And the amount of times I've worked at Silverstone in person, you know how quickly the rains can come there. It is an absolutely amazing situation when it breaks all of a sudden. Watching Diego Baldi at the moment as he comes up underneath Mark DeVos. He's going to get him on the hangar straight. Surely Mark DeVos will be sensible and just allow him to get going. Well, he squeezes him a little bit, but that's enough to not lose too much time. Now he can stop behind Diego Baldi, try and gain some time on him. He's not pitting, so he can actually try and save some tyres, save some fuel, and actually run behind Diego Baldi in the draft. But look how quickly the clouds are gathering here at Silverstone. It could break.
They could, you know, definitely. Olsen in the pits as well for Hawkeye, followed by Lopez. He's in too. Haynes, Alexis stay out behind the bottoms. That's going to be a position game for the Australian. But yeah, it is looking pretty ominous here at Silverstone at the moment. You know, with the cloud form, it's entirely possible it could break. But I'm not going to hold my hopes up. I remember the forecast said 7% chance. That is very low. But, you know, that's the thing. Chances are chances. That's all they are. They're just statistics. Anything can still happen.
So we're keeping an eye on things as they go through. We're hoping the clouds are not going to break on the raceview.nl live timing as we're watching on this fantastic new track map that is being brought on there. Thanks to Stefan Rath for pointing that out to us. But yes, we're keeping an eye on things on the 3D track map on raceview.nl. You can watch along as the race progresses. Absolutely amazing to watch this battle as Florian Gaia is now only 3.8 seconds in front of Rudy Van Buren. He's taken a second out of him. Now, that is absolutely astonishing. We thought Rudy Van Buren was not really equal to Nordtjen in terms of one-lap pace. He's just taken a second out of him. And in that last sector alone, he's taken 0.3 of a second out of him. Surely Florian Gaia is going to need to make a pit stop soon because Rudy Van Buren is eating up the advantage he held on him.
Yeah, it is really being eaten up, and an interesting thing to watch because, you know, now he's losing significant time. Tom Parker pointed out he managed to gain time even with the battle before. As Van Buren comes across the line, he's going to take another 2/10 out. So this is crucial for Gaia. I think he'll probably be hoping for rain at this point.
Alex Cooper, Ben Schupanek, Tobias Olsen, David Francic having a great scrap for 9th position behind Lee Morris. And it looked to me as though Ben Schupanek was crowded out a little bit there by Alex Cooper on the way into Maggots. But Cooper is now working very hard in 9th position to try and get clear. Olsen 11th, a bit of a squirrel from him in the mid-corner as Francic now closes up to try and move further forward. Lopez 13th from Ayres, Horrell, Bracan and De Vries. But everybody just needs to keep going. And there's a good chance that pretty much all of them, other than Maurice Bracan or Gareth De Vries, will score points as Fran Lopez in the Adonis comes into the pits. Florian Gaia out of Woodcote and heading down to Cops Corner once again with Rudy Van Buren. That red dot in the distance is now starting to look like a racing car. But Diego Baldi, as pointed out on the stream by Tom Parker, is 1.8 seconds quicker overall. So this is an absolutely incredible factor for Diego Baldi. He is not out of this yet. He is made up to 16.4 seconds. And as predicted by Tom Parker and a couple of other people there as well, Baldi could take the lead.
This is a close battle between Morris and Haynes at the moment for 7th place to move back a little bit. Morris on the charge, really chasing down Thomas Haynes in that red Archer. He's going to look down the inside of Cops. This has been a quite popular overtaking spot. Morris straight through there, no problems, no questions asked, easy to do, and Morris into 7th place there, but Haynes is going to have the DRS down the hanger straight, and I would not put this past him to get back through again.
Well, Morris is looking very strong through the apexes of Maggots and Beckett and pulling away enough from Thomas Haynes to be comfortable for the moment. Interestingly, Florian Geyer has picked up the pace a little bit more on Rudy Van Buren. At least he's trying to. The gap is now down to 2.6 seconds. Is Florian Geyer trying to save himself a pit stop? And is David Feideck doing likewise? Are they trying to stretch the life of the tyres just that little bit further?
Well, as we said before, pit delta, not much here. You know, there really isn't that much in it. But, you know, Van Buren, Capet, you know, they're going to be on the more stops. And then you've got the Feideck Geyer guys, you know, the two Norwegians, going to try and stretch it out a bit more. Going to be interesting, custom strategy versus pace here. What's going to be the best thing for each driver?
Well, the fastest man on the road at the moment is actually Gergo Baldi. He's doing 3 to 4 tenths of a second faster in terms of sector times than any of the 4 guys out in front. Both of the Nordians and both of the Vodballs are being caught rapidly by the Valters of Gergo Baldi. So maybe this is going to be their opportunity to move forward as Michael Ayers and Gerrit de Vries are both into the pits. Florian Geyer leads it from Van Buren, Feideck and Capet, but Gergo Baldi in 5th position is catching them all. The gap is now down to 15.3 between 1st and 5th position. Gergo Baldi, definitely the man on the move.
Yeah, and this mental strategy from Baldi might actually pay off at the rate he's going. He might actually get back into this battle, or at least make up ground. Van Buren, though, speaking of making up ground, is really making up ground. He's 1.9 to Gaia now. He's scything down that lead second by second. It's going to be about 1.5 by the time he crosses the start finish, by my estimation.
Right,
in fact, it is 1.7. Cap it in, crucially, obviously. You're maybe going to see what we do there. This is actually the first time they haven't pitted on the same lap.
Yeah, Capet pitting a lap before Rudy Van Buren at least. Now, is Rudy Van Buren confident enough in the tyres that he can continue to eke out this gap to Florian Geyer? Because obviously he's trying to match the Nordian in terms of pace, and he's trying to push them into making a pit stop before their time. Now, this is really interesting from Rudy Van Buren because we know that the Nordian car pits later than the Vodbull traditionally. So is that going to happen again?
Well, Van Buren just lost time through sector 1 that time around. Maybe 2 and 3 are his strong sectors, but Geyer gained that time around. Perhaps Van Buren maybe trying to save tyres himself. Maybe deciding, maybe I'll save a bit, maybe trying to get a couple of laps extra on these tyres because I know I've got the gap to push later on. I don't know. We'll have to watch sectors 2 and 3 to find out whether he really is losing time.
Yeah, either that or he's pushed the tyres a little bit too far, trying to go 1 lap further, and he runs wide at Cop's corner. So Van Buren maybe just trying to take that gamble, and it's not paying off because he's losing ground to Florian Geyer again. All of that work, it may be losing time once more as they come through at the end of the second sector. We'll figure out where Geyer is compared to Van Buren. Van Buren still trying to push out. Yes, he's lost another 2 tenths of a second. So Van Buren, maybe he's just stretched the tyres a little bit too far by going that 1 lap further. And maybe that is not the way to go. Van Buren having to be a little bit more cautious. Is he going to come into the pits? Yes, he does, but so does Geyer.
Van Buren follows. Yeah, I'm going to say maybe the tyres have hit the cliff. Or maybe Van Buren was just trying to stretch it out and pit in the same
as well.
Yep, fine again. Maybe this was planned. Maybe Van Buren just wanted to get a lot
and Baldi. They're all coming in together.
Well, if interesting part, DeVos does or does not. I know DeVos is coming in as well. That's the top 5 all in the pits. What about Capet? He doesn't. No, he's going to stay out, but I don't think he's really going to be able to capitalise here. What's going to happen here in the pits? Obviously, Geyer gets out. Oh, Feideck crosses in front of Van Buren, but he's obviously just come in. So no change there. Feideck's still there. Baldi's still there. DeVos there, and he's going to be overtaken by Capet, though. What about Feideck? Feideck's going to come out ahead of Capet, I believe. Yes, he is. So it's going to be Norwegians 1 and 3, Vodbull's 2 and 4.
Well, Valters Automotive fans are not looking too shabby at the moment because when Gergo Baldi pitted in, he had got that gap from the lead to himself down to 12.5 seconds, would you believe? That is an absolutely astonishing amount of time gained by the Hungarian. So he is still very much in position to take advantage in this race. Nordian and Vodbull are watching each other so closely. I think they're almost forgetting that Gergo Baldi is there. The Valters driver is definitely the dark horse in this one. And if he's able to save an extra set of tyres, he could catch them both napping.
He could do, yes. This could be interesting from Baldi. He really is the danger man in this race now. Got to keep a really beady eye on the Hungarian. Bit of an alternate strategy going on, but it's working out for him. Remember, though, he has to use the super soft tyres at some point in this race. So he needs to build an advantage before he gets onto them rather than after.
Well, Morris is now up to P6, having got past Bart de Vos. Hins is 8th in front of Olsen, Francic, Cooper, Jupanek, Lopez, Ayres, Horrell, Bracan and De Vries. So Bracan finishing his pit stop and continues on. Gerrit De Vries, by the way, has lost a lap in all of this. I'm not entirely sure where he lost it. I think he might have had damage in the early stages in the Green Stripes car. But if he just keeps going, he's going to get a points position by virtue of the fact that if only 2 more cars retire, he will end up in the points. So it's a crucial race for Green Stripes to continue their point scores. Florian Gaia faster than he has gone before in the 2nd and 3rd sectors. But look, Rudy Van Buren is only 1.1 seconds behind them. This is an opportunity for Florian Gaia to stop Rudy Van Buren in his tracks as Lee Morris makes the pit.
Well, perhaps so, but it's going to be hard to defend from him because we know how quick Van Buren is. Gaia doesn't really want to get into a lead battle, I don't think. He's going to want to have stayed ahead without that. Morris in the pits, though, as you rightly say, he's going to be pitting. Hintz is going to go through on him, as I suspected he would get him at some point, even if it is in the pits. Van Buren, though, crucially going to be on DRS range when he comes out of the DRS zone as well.
Yeah, and this is important as well because we're still trying to keep an eye on Gergo Baldi, who is still the fastest man on the track. Gergo Baldi, the gap down to 11 seconds now, 11.4. He actually went purple in the 2nd sector on that last lap. So Gergo Baldi is still closing in on all of them. He's not out of this yet. He's there in 5th position, but he is gaining ground on everybody. So we have to keep an eye on that as the gap, as you say, Josh, between Gaia and Van Buren drops to below a second for the first time since the start of this race. But Florian Gaia will still be feeling a little bit sore about Rudy Van Buren's move at the start. He will not be in a position to do him any favours if he gets an opportunity to get through on the inside. Florian is going to be a man to shut him down as soon as, look at him.
Yeah, Van Buren just wants to get through here. Gaia will want to, we know how good he is in a battle, but Van Buren, again, 4 wins out of 4 races in the last go. He's had 5 so far this season. It's going to be a daunting prospect for Gaia if he gets into a battle here. But remember, we've got potential changeable weather conditions if it decides to break. Though I think the clouds have now passed over the circuit.
Yeah, they have. I did think it would be difficult for them to break, but the clouds have now gone through. Now, Feidik is closing in on his teammate Florian Gaia as well, by the way. The gap down to 7 seconds exactly. It was about 7.5. So Feidik is making up time on his teammate as well. Capit is only 1.5 behind David Feidik. And Gergo Baldi, the gap down now to 11 seconds. So Baldi still very much in the chat. Look at that. That's Florian Gaia down the Wellington straight, pulls right out of the racing line. I am not giving Rudy Van Buren any chance at all to close me down. It is not happening. He ran me into the pit wall on the start. I am not giving that man any room at all.
Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a grudge match between these two guys. I won't be happy about that start manoeuvre, and he is not going to be happy about the fact that Van Buren is behind him. He's going to want to win this race. He wants to win it. Van Buren wants to win it. A half race distance. We still don't know who's actually going to win it, though. Maybe it's going to be neither of them.
Very true, because if these two tangle, then that opens the door for the fight at Capit Baldi scrap. But these two are pushing very hard indeed. Great battle. So let's see who is going to work. Now, Matthew Allington writes on the YouTube stream, Van Buren had to wait for Feidik to clear. Baldi now is one more stop ahead of them, though. So, yes, he is quicker than them. So Feidik should actually be more wary of risks, though, as far as Tom Parker is concerned. He's got a good point there. The gap down to 1.6 seconds between those two. Florian Gaia is still ahead of Rudy Van Buren by 7/10 of a second, hoping to try and stretch this advantage as much as he possibly can to halt Van Buren in his charge. Van Buren still going for 5 wins in a row here, don't forget, and his 6th win of the season. Florian Gaia is bidding to become the 4th different winner this season after Alex Cooper won in Russia and a victory, of course, in China for Gergo Baldi in those wet weather conditions. But Florian Gaia is working very hard indeed here. It's stalemate at the moment between him and Rudy Van Buren, but somebody's got to break the deadlock at some point.
Yeah, someone's going to make a move and someone's going to get through, and it's either going to be Gaia pulling ahead or Van Buren falling behind. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be what's going to happen, because that is true of things. You know, it's completely dumbfounded me. This is a great battle.
It is one of the best races I think I've seen in the GPVWC Super League for a long time, and we're only just halfway home. I was going to say we're not even halfway home, we're only just halfway through. Tom Parker writes, if the gap is less than a second at the next pit stop, they could very well be side by side coming out of the pits. It's going to be a tasty dozen laps or so coming up. You couldn't have written it better, Tom. Absolutely on the button there, as Florian Gaia once again tries to second guess what Rudy Van Buren is actually doing out there on the circuit. He may have an opportunity to get them at the next pit stops to maintain the gap, but looking at how strong Vod Bull are in the pits, I think Tom Parker is absolutely right. Look, he's pulling right out of the racing line. He is not giving Rudy Van Buren any chance at all to get in the slipstream to gain time. This is a crucial part of the race for Florian Gaia. He knows that on the racing line, he is mincemeat for Rudy Van Buren. He has got to try and stop him gaining ground on the slipstream, getting that aerodynamic toe along the straight. He has got to try and break it. Watch him again as they come through. Van Buren very close to him this time. Watch Gaia. He's going to come right off the racing line. No, he doesn't on that occasion. But this is tight between Gaia and Van Buren now. 7/10 of a second between them. Gaia twitches a little bit through Abbey as they come up through towards Farm and Village once again. But Gaia is desperately trying to stop Rudy Van Buren gaining any advantage at all. Watch as they come out of Village. Van Buren much closer. Faster under braking. But watch here. Gaia is not going to give Van Buren the satisfaction. He comes through the left and watch. He darts out to the left. I am not letting you get the toe.
He's not letting him get it at all. No, Lee Morris actually just set the fastest lap of the race on the previous lap of 1:34.7. So he's going quite quickly as well. Interesting for Morris. Even though he is in one of the slower cars, it's not stopping him from getting a good lap in the 36.5 though he follows it up with. That is not really going to help him. But back to this Gaia Van Buren battle. Yeah, Florian Gaia is making it as hard as he's playing hardball with Van Buren here. He's not making the Dutchman's life easy. He's saying, look, man, if you want to get this draft, you're going to have to earn it.
That start was just a little bit of a boxing match. That was round one. If you want to go for the full knockout, you're going to have to throw caution to the winds, mate. Florian Gaia absolutely on it from Rudy Van Buren as he tries once again to break the toe. Watch him as they come through the left here. He's going to sweep across again. You are not getting the toe from me, sunshine, but Rudy Van Buren is wise to it. What he does know, of course, is that by coming off the racing line, he is actually cooking the tyres a little bit more. He's actually wearing them out on the dirtier part of the racetrack, but he knows that Rudy Van Buren is in a position now where he has to do the same thing. So Florian Gaia is actually backing Rudy Van Buren into a position where he has to play second fiddle, and where Florian Gaia is actually basically forcing Rudy Van Buren to make the move he doesn't want to make. Florian Gaia playing very smart racing at the moment. The gap's still down only to 0.6 of a second as Risto Capit and Gergo Baldi come into the pits together. That's interesting.
It is maybe Baldy responding to Cabot, I don't know, but they are very close together, between about a second in it as they come into the pits there. So really, really close stuff at the moment as Baldy in, and he's staying on the ultra softs. That is not a surprise. Cabot has actually, I think, missed his pit box line. He had to reverse it, and maybe that's going to help Gergo. Is he going to leapfrog him? No, he's not, but it's going to be close.
And Gergo is going to want to put the move on him as soon as they get out of the pits. That's going to be really entertaining. Meanwhile, Rudy Van Buren is now only 0.4 of a second behind Florian Gaia as they go through. He's going to try and make this move into the hangar straight. He's not quite close enough through Cops, but he will make a run at him through Woodcote. Florian Gaia needs to get off the line if he doesn't want to give Rudy Van Buren the satisfaction. Down the straight, he knows he still has the lead, but Van Buren is pushing him into a corner now. This is going to be really interesting as they come off the turn. Through the gears, into Maggots, left, right, left again as they come down the gears and through to the right-hander. This is where Van Buren can make... And Gaia, he is going to be in the slipstream. He is going to be within DRS range this time. And look, Gaia just moves right across. Don't even think about it. I am not helping you.
Yeah, he's not helping him out here at all, really, and Van Buren knows it. He knows Gaia's not going to give him a single quarter, not even a single penny. He's not going to give him anything, and he knows it because he comes into the pits. Now he's probably just trying to out-strategy him. He knows he can't get through behind him, so he's going to change those tyres.
Meanwhile, Risto Capit's got Gergo Baldi breathing down his neck down the hangar straight as Gerrit de Vries goes off the road trying to avoid. Here comes Baldi. Oh, there's barely anywhere, and he's...
Oh, no!
Baldi's on the grass! Now that is going to be a very interesting conversation because Baldi squeezed out to the inside line by Capit, and he will feel that he was ran off the road there by Risto Capit. So Gergo Baldi and Valtus Automotive will be straight to the officials on that one.
Yeah, but why did he go into the outside? There was so much room to the inside. He went to the outside. I feel he kind of ran himself into the grass there. There was not much space on the outside of that turn. Risto couldn't have done much more. Gergo, I think, really should have gone to the inside. He tried to go for a gap that, in my view, just didn't exist. Perhaps misjudged it, but he's really just hurt himself there.
Well, how about this? The people on YouTube are making their opinions felt very easily indeed there. So I'm just watching back Gergo Baldi and Risto Capit. Interestingly, there was no contact between Risto Capit and Gergo Baldi at all there, from what I could see. Tom Parker said, Gergo, that was a bit silly. It was, to be fair, when you look at the replay, because he really shouldn't have put himself into that kind of position. It's now Baldi trying to come around the outside of Bart de Vos. Gergo, you're going to run out of space if you go around the outside of Luffield, but he is going to push Bart de Vos to the inside line there through Woodcote. That was brave from Gergo Baldi. That just shows you the difference between them.
DeVos backs out as well. Well, Gergo Baldi went around the outside. Obviously, a bit of his party piece today, going around the outside of people rather than the inside. I don't know what possessed him to try and cap it like, but in the 5th place, back where he was, chasing down the Estonian once again. That's going to be crucial for him. But what is also going to be crucial is how quickly Van Buren catches up the Gaia and Fidek ahead, because, you know, we're going to see how much time he can take out here, because having pitted from behind Gaia has stayed out, so it's not like he was going to pit anyway the next lap. He's making these tyres last.
Nero Tiberius writes on YouTube, Rosberg, Hamilton, Spain without the contact. I think that Rudy Van Buren has decided to undercut Florian Gaia in the chance to do it. But actually, interestingly, the gap between them is steady at 11.3. Florian Gaia is definitely going to be beaten here by Rudy Van Buren, who is definitely gaining ground on him outside the pit window. So this is interesting. He's obviously decided, enough of this. I am going to beat him to the punch. Now, Rudy Van Buren's first sector time that last time by was a 25.7 compared to Florian Gaia on a 26.5. This isn't even going to be close out of the pits.
Yeah, this is not going to be close between them at the moment, but yeah, maybe we'll see it close up later. But, you know, Cooper coming out of the pits now, and Olsen is fairly ahead of him, so Cooper is going to drop down there. And, well, it's going to be an interesting this on Buren Gaia now. It looks like he's closing in on Gaia overall, but he's got to get past David Fidek, his teammate first, and Fidek might have a chance to back Van Buren at the rest of the field if he has a chance.
I'm not sure he's going to need to. I think David Fidek's going to come into the pits on the same lap as Florian Gaia, as Gaia continues on. Now that, I'm not entirely sure is the right move, because Gaia really needs to maximise the tyres he's got. Fidek continues on as well. Van Buren is gaining on him to the tune of a second a lap, if not less than that. The second split, Rudy Van Buren just did a 41.5 compared to Florian Gaia on a 42.8. So Gaia's last lap time was a 137.4. Rudy Van Buren comes across the line now, and he's just done a 134.9. That is his best lap of the race. He was almost 3 seconds quicker than him on that lap alone. What an Nordstrom playing at here.
Maybe they're just trying to save a pit stop. Probably the best thing they can do at this point. Van Buren, though, on full attack mode. Remember, though, while he's setting when he's setting laps times like that, he's using the tyres more. So maybe they're saving the tyres. This is a very intriguing race at 62% completion. And I still don't know who's going to win it. But I think Nordstrom might be onto something here.
Well, 20 laps to go, and clearly Nordstrom Racing knows something we don't, because Rudy Van Buren is catching them to the tune of 3 seconds per lap. That is absolutely astonishing, but maybe they've got a trick up their sleeve we haven't seen yet. Gergo Baldi is still right on the back of Risto Capit. Just looking at Capit and Baldi's pace, they're on 135s as well, with the Nordstjons in the 137s and 136s. They are losing time hand over fist, but that is because they're trying to save tyres, and they're trying to keep their cars out there a little bit longer. Maybe being slow now is actually going to come to their benefit a little bit later in the race. If they can keep the tyres a little bit stronger in the latter stages, they might be able to put 2 cars on the podium. Or maybe they've just figured out Rudy Van Buren is just too quick at this phase. They're trying to bring their cars second and third in front of Capit and Baldi for the finish. As Gaia now pits, Fidek should follow him in. Yes, he does.
So Van Buren will retake the lead of the race. Tom Parker, interestingly, says Rudy hasn't used the Ultra Softs, and that's very true. Has to use the Ultra Softs or the Softs at some point in this race. But, you know, if we know they're only going to last 4 or 5 laps in Baldi's case, he will have to wait until the very end of the race to pit.
Yeah, Matthew Allington writes he reckons that Gaia is sacrificing track position now in favour of fewer stops before the end. But with a pace like that, says Tom Parker, rest in peace everyone else for Rudy. He hasn't used the Ultra Soft yet either, so that is going to be a difficult situation. Maybe Rudy Van Buren has decided less is more at the start, and he's now put himself into a very strong position. Florian Gaia second, Capit third, and has come out. David Fidek right in front of Gergo Baldi. The third position battle is on.
It is on indeed very much, and it's going to be one we're going to be interested to see. But I think Van Buren is getting about 10, 12, maybe, I don't know. He's getting about 10 laps on those Ultra Soft, Super Soft, I believe. You know, reasonable stints so far. He's getting about 10 to 12 laps on those, and his last pit stop was lap 25. So I expect he'll be in within the next 4 laps. But yeah, interesting battle between Fidek and Baldi on now. This could throw things in annoyance as we do lose Gerrit de Vries from the race.
So Gerrit de Vries decides his race is over. There will be no points scored this time from the Green Stripes racing team, which is a real shame. That was their best chance to get a double points finish. Neither of them now will make the flag, and that leaves us with just 16 runners in the British Grand Prix. Now, Rudy Van Buren is 7.8 seconds clear.
Baldi went off the Beckett's complex there. He just got one of the corners a bit wrong. No damage or anything, but he had an excursion. That's going to lose him time to Fidek.
Yeah, he's going to lose about a second or so as a result of that little moment. Meanwhile, Alex Cooper is battling it out with Thomas Hinz and Tobias Olsen in their squabble over 8th position at the moment. Thomas Hinz getting very close to Alex Cooper, still trying to settle the score after Cooper has got back past him. Hinz in 9th position working well, but Tobias Olsen is now looking to try and make the deadlock happen his way. Meanwhile, Lee Morris just trying to look at his lap times in comparison to Bart de Vos ahead of him. I think Lee Morris could get himself back into, well, he's just done a 1:34.3. That's the new fastest lap of the race again, compared to Bart de Vos, who's setting 1:35s at best. So Morris, I think, is on course for 6th position, provided he keeps this speed up. Bart de Vos, his first lap out of the pits, his first quick lap out of the pits, is his best so far, a 1:35.3. But compared to Lee Morris, who is currently doing 1:34s, well, his last was a 1:35.0, but he's still catching him. Meanwhile, Feidek and Gaia, the Nordian cars, have just gone faster than they have ever gone in the first sector. So they are trying to get back up to speed. Maybe this is where their joker is going to be played.
Perhaps so. I mean, Cabot there in front of Feidek. If David can get through, that's going to be time safe because he can chase down Gaia. But really, yeah, this could be really the moment for Nordian. If they're going to do anything, now is the time.
So let's see what David Feidek does in the slipstream to Risto Capit. Capit actually moves offline as they go through Beckett. But this is going to be an opportunity for Feidek. He knows he's going to have the slipstream on Risto Capit as he comes off the turn. Capit's looking really loose. So now this is about what Risto Capit does on the way down the hanger straight. He's going to get plenty of speed off him. David Feidek is going to try around the outside. He's not going to do the same thing Baldi did. Is he going to hold it around the outside? Yes, he does. David Feidek is going to show us why he's the reigning champion. What a move as Capit decides to pin in as well. But David Feidek, I don't care that Risto Capit was coming in. That was proof to me that he had that move done on anyway. David Feidek, true quality as Capit and Baldi come in together.
Yep, they do. What a move from Feidek, really showing his credentials there. I mean, I've always said he's one of the best drivers in the field, and he's showing that right here with moves like that. And getting himself into the 3rd place. You know, remember, I said it, he's out of Canada, a bit of a slow burner. Maybe this is his form coming out in the mid part of the season.
Capit has just had the mother of all pit stops. That was absolutely amazing how quick he got that tyre change done. Gergo Baldi is going to be joined a good 3 seconds behind him as a result of that. So great pit work from Vodbull, as Baldi is now going to be, well, probably about 4 seconds behind him in actual fact. So Baldi, for all of a sudden, their magnificent strategy, it now looks to be turning the tide. Meanwhile, Rudy Van Buren is actually setting a similar pace now to what Florian Gaia was a lap ago, as Gaia has just done a 1:34.9. I'm not done yet, Rudy. Keep pushing. I could still get you.
Yeah, we got to remember Gergo Baldi and all this. Remember, still on the other softs, and he's not budged from those tyres. Obviously, he's using more pit stops and more speed, but we got to watch how he catches Cabot because he is still chasing him down here.
So Bart de Vos in 6th position, being caught by Lee Morris. The gap has come down to just 6 seconds now between those two. Morris is looking to try and get himself into the top 6 and is still lapping, well, now he's lapping about the same sort of pace as Bart de Vos. So he's obviously waiting for the last 10 laps or so to get himself up the order. Michael Ayres, Maurice Bracand and Ben Horrell have all come into the pit stops together as those three are now battling away for the final 3 positions on the points score. Michael Ayres leaves the pits first from Ben Horrell and Maurice Bracand. So it's been a difficult day at the office for Michael Ayres and Maurice Bracand coming into the season in this race. Ben Horrell has not had the most luck here this weekend either, but they've all come out of the pit lane in front, well, just in behind Florian Gaia. David Feidek is the next car on the road behind those three, but the gap between Van Buren and Gaia has come down again. It's just 6.2 seconds now. Baldi, personal best and the race best in the 2nd sector. Don't forget him yet.
Yeah, he is on fire, Gergo Baldi, in terms of his outright pace, and there's not really anything stopping him at the moment. Tom Parker says an issue with the same pace for Van Buren of Gaia. Gaia's on fresher tyres, he can only match him, but Rudy needs to concentrate on beating Feidek so he's not blocked. And that's right, because, you know, Florian Gaia's on fresher tyres, so all he can do is Rudy can only really match him. And he needs to be fighting out really as Van Buren. He needs to concentrate on the champion and not the Norwegian that's in front of the champion.
Tom Parker making a very interesting comment. Wear a storm, not like them not to be here. Matthew Allington writes, 4th place in Russia last year seems like a very, very long time ago now. It is a shame we don't have Woods Racing or Storm Racing here for this race. Hopefully well, we know that Woods Racing has elected they will not be returning this season. Hopefully Storm Racing will be back at the next round of the championship at the Hungaroring in 2 weeks' time. But the clouds are coming back in again, Josh. Maybe we might have a little bit of drama in the final 16 laps of this race. We hope not, because we want it to remain a pure contest as Rudy Van Buren now runs in front of Florian Geyer again. Geyer, the gap has come down again to 4.7. He just took 0.6 of a second out of Rudy Van Buren in the final sector alone.
Well, that is a statement, isn't it? He's saying, I'm coming for you, mate. I don't care if you're leading the race or not. I'm going to have a battle with you.
Well, Tom Parker obviously has made an interesting point about Florian Geyer that we just touched upon. He needs to really focus on getting out in front of David Feidek so that he's not blocked. But if Feidek pits on the same lap as Florian Geyer, that's obviously something that Nordjian will consider in terms of the strategy. Then that will negate it anyway. But this could be a double podium finish without any hesitation at all for Nordjian. Gergo Baldi still trying to get himself into a position where he can upset the balance as Lee Morris comes into the pits for his pit stop, and he will rejoin behind Alex Cooper, but I think just in front of Thomas Hinz. It will be close though. He gets himself back on the throttle. I think Thomas Hinz is just going to beat him out, and it's not by much. So Hinz is 8th, Morris is 9th, but both Cooper and Hinz need to pit in the next couple of laps, don't forget. So Morris's chances of getting into the top 6 are definitely still on. Florian Geyer, the gap is now down to 4.2 seconds on Rudy Van Buren. The roles are definitely reversed now.
Yeah, and Florian Geyer now the chase of Van Buren, the chase, so to speak, and really Flo starting to cut time out. Remember, fresher tyres, he can push them harder. Van Buren will have less wear, and he comes in, decides that the tyres are taking enough of a beating, and Geyer does not follow suit and see what Feidek does here. I assume he'll stay out as well, and he does. So Geyer will go into the lead of this race now, and it's going to be very interesting to see what Van Buren does. He's going to come into his box. We're going to see what tyres he goes on. And Matthew Adams saying it too, would be Nordjian's best results in the United States last year, when of course Florian Geyer won.
Now, what tyres is Van Buren on? Super soft still. Okay, so that's interesting. Now, of course, the battle between Geyer and Van Buren in terms of beating each other on each stint, we know that he's got to change compound at some point. But when he does it, it's going to be critical, because if he goes onto the Ultra Softs, we know that they've only got about 4 to 5 laps of life in them. So he basically needs to time it right as to when he makes this call. Now, if he's into a good position where he's got a few seconds on Florian Geyer, do you go onto the Ultra Softs and just hope that you can get past him if he's already taken the lead back? Or do you go onto the softs in the hope that just having a tyre that will last longer will actually be the better tyre to be on at the end? Or do you go on to the next pit stop, because we are about to go into the final 10 laps of the race? Surely the next pit stop Rudy Van Buren makes, he will go onto the Ultra Softs unless he's got more to go.
This is interesting as well. Matthew Allen points out that Feidek is in front of Van Buren, and he's ahead by some seconds as well. So there's a chance that David Feidek might get held up here, and Feidek himself's coming around to Maurice Bracon. Lap traffic, of course, in 15th place in that Adonis. But this is not what Van Buren wanted. He wanted to get out ahead of Feidek, has got out behind him.
Yeah, is David Feidek about to take on the role of Sylvester Stallone and hold him up? This is going to be a really interesting situation as they come onto the main straight once again. David Feidek still pushing hard to try and get himself into a good position as Braccan moves out of the way. Good boy, Morris. But now, is this going to be about what happens to Rudy Van Buren as he gets in there behind David Feidek? If Feidek is smart here, he will try and utilise the circuit as much as possible to help his teammate to win, because at the end of the day, a win for Nordjian is a win for Nordjian, and Feidek is a good team player. We know that he's not at this moment in a position to win the championship, but as far as he's concerned, if there's a chance for Nordjian to win, he will back up Flo. He will be a strong number 2 to him, and he will give him the best possible chance to win. This is not looking good for Rudy Van Buren right now. Feidek has got to play the team player card now.
Yeah, with 12 to go, it's not looking great for Van Buren. Feidek, we know how loyal he is to that Nordjian team, and how, he's a great team player. He is the champion and he wants to win himself. We lose a Ben Horrell from the race, meaning if drivers finish now and getting 90% the guaranteed points. But yeah, Van Buren, really, Feidek will play number 2 here if he has to. He's such a team player, such a genuine, honest driver, and he will play number 2 if he has to. He's not interested in the win if he thinks Guy can get it more than him, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, because Van Buren is closing up actually quite quickly.
But Feidek is letting him get the toe. He's letting him get the toe, and then he's going to move across on him. He is going to take the bait here, David Feidek. and Rudy Van Buren is going to get held up no matter what happens here. Look, Feidek is absolutely planted to the inside line. Van Buren is trying to get through. This is team gamesmanship from Nortian. They're absolutely entitled to do this, don't forget. This is absolutely incredible for this race, and it's critical that Feidek makes the best use of this position as possible. And Rudy Van Buren knows he has got to get past David Feidek on this lap. They storm through Abbey Corner together, through the left. Gergo Baldi pits. Can he jump Risto Capit in this section of the pit stops? This is all about Feidek holding up Rudy Van Buren. He's got to be as strong as he possibly can here. He will almost certainly dive for the left as they come out of the left-hander here to stop any chance that Rudy Van Buren might get. Look, he's going to try and hold him up to the inside line. Van Buren's going to dive right out. I think Feidek's left this too late. Van Buren's just going to dive to the inside and get him.
Yes, he is. He's going to get through. Feidek's going to have the traction out of it, but it's not going to be enough. Van Buren do, but he was held up, and that's crucial. He did lose time there, and, well, nicely held by Feidek, although Van Buren's just starting to drop him like an anger.
Absolutely. So this is going to be an interesting situation now because Van Buren lost about a second to Florian Gaia in that little manoeuvre there from David Feidek. He made it last as long as he possibly could before he got the position one. So it is a difficult situation to be in now if you are Rudy Van Buren. So now it's a position he has to take into account because Van Buren is desperately trying to gain the ground. There is Gaia going into Stowe Corner at the end of the hangar straight. Rudy Van Buren in second from David Feidek. But that second could be the difference here between winning and losing. And look, Van Buren, having cleared Feidek, has now dropped to 5.5 seconds behind Florian Gaia. So he's already able to make up that second. But the fact that he lost it initially is going to be really interesting. And as Tom Parker says, it depends on how well Rudy can look after the Ultra Softs. Surely he's got to make that call on the next pit stop. Or, as Tom also says, unless he goes for softs.
But then he's going to be at a pace disadvantage to the likes of Feidek, even though he'll have more of a stop. Feidek's been able to make those Ultra Softs last, so it's going to be interesting to see what Van Buren opts for here. And this race, I don't think is going to end until, well, it's not going to end until the final lap, because there are 52 laps in this race, and that's how long we'll be racing for. But we won't be able to call a winner until that last lap.
Well, we've only got 11 laps to go here, so it still could go anybody's way. Nero Tiberius writes, didn't Rudy Van Buren just cut Chapel and gain a second?
I'll go back and investigate. I don't think he did myself.
I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure he did. Maybe it just looked that way on the feed, but I don't think Van Buren made that big a gain through Chapel. He certainly
he got understeer. He lost it out of the third turn, and then he did go straight on off a couple of corner there, so he might have gained some time.
So if he hasn't backed out of the throttle, the gap is down to 4.7. That's interesting. So if he has gained time as a result of that, then that is obviously going to be something that the stewards will look into. So good call there from Nero Tiberius. Well spotted. Matthew Allington says one does not simply gain a second through that cut. So obviously that's in reference, that's a Game of Thrones reference, isn't it? But,
Lord of the Rings, mate.
Oh, Lord of the Rings. It was one or the other. Rudy Van Buren goes into the right-hander at Stowe. Little bit of a wiggle out of the turn as he goes up the Vale. But
Gaia in.
Gaia is in, but the gap is down to 3.6. Is that something for the stewards to keep an eye on then?
Well, perhaps so. I think there's a possibility he might have gained time, but at the same time, he lost it through oversteer. But then going on the inside of that corner, that's always a controversial one. So he goes through into the lead there. Feidek second, Gaia second, Feidek third, rather. Get my notions mixed up. There's Capit in two. So obviously, Capit deciding to join them in the pits there. Gergo Baldi does not.
What compound is Gaia on?
And Gaia is on the Ultra Softs, as is Feidek, as is Capit coming in. But what will Capit be on coming out? He's on the softs.
Right, Capit's on the softs, so he's going to be the guinea pig for Rudy Van Buren, because Van Buren obviously is going to need to make a pit stop. But if Florian Gaia is on the Ultra Softs, if they can stretch the tyres' life, well, surely they can't make Ultra Softs last 10 laps. Surely there's no way they can do that. They might be able to do it 5 laps. Guy's best chance now is to make this set of Super Softs last until the end. But you say he's on Ultra Softs, Josh.
Gaia's not on Ultra Softs. No, he's on the Super.
Oh, no, sorry, he is on Super Softs. So yeah,
at the moment, but Gaia has had 8-lap stints on those Super Softs, and looking further down the order, he has had 8 and 9-lap stints. So a 10 might not be out where the realm is a possibility. But if he can make it last long enough, he could get the last stint to be 8 or 9.
Well, Rudy's definitely got to make one more pit stop. At which point, surely on paper, Florian Gaia should take the lead. But the question is, what tyres will Rudy Van Buren go onto? If he goes onto softs, he will be slightly slower than Florian Gaia, but Gaia is trying to stretch those tyres to 10 laps. Now,
oh, I've just seen Baldy actually got around the outside of the section before Cops there through on Kappa. That was a great move from him. But yes, crucial things with these tyres. Van Buren does not pit. Guy does not pit. He's just trying to make these super softs rather last as long as he can to give himself fresh enough tyres in a straight race with Van Buren, who might go for, well, at this rate, I reckon he's probably going to try and stretch it and make the ultras.
yeah, see, Gaia is closing in on Rudy Van Buren, but he doesn't want to push it too hard. He wants to gain a little bit of ground on Van Buren. But ultimately, he wants to back Rudy into a corner where he's got to go for either ultra softs or softs. There is no chance he will go onto the super softs here, because if he does, he will basically be disqualified, or he's got to make another pit stop. So he's got to go for either the ultra softs or the softs. Now, if you go for the softs, you will be slightly slower than Gaia, but Gaia is trying to stretch the tyres to last 10 laps. So that might be the smarter move. Or you could be a faster driver on ultra softs, but risk only being on those tyres for 4 laps. So Rudy Van Buren is going to have to work incredibly hard to win this race. Now, Diego Baldi's chances of winning have just taken a massive shot to the chest, because obviously he now needs to make another pit stop. Or has he just done that? No, I think he has just done. No, he does need to make one more pit stop. So his chances of winning are not going to happen basically now, unfortunately.
Unless he can make those super softs last 10 laps, it's going to be interesting to see. And if Van Buren, even then, if he pits in, the ultra soft tyres will be on for 3 or 4 laps. They'll have no defence, really. Guy will have no defence against the quicker tyres of Van Buren. Tom Parker saying Rudy to pit with 6 to go.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah, here is Van Buren. So, well, unless he's going to make the ultra softs last 9 laps, this might even be soft tyres.
Yeah, I can't see him making the ultra softs last for 9 laps. That is a race-losing decision. Surely he's going to go onto the soft tyres here and just push like crazy.
I'll just have to keep an eye on this as he comes into the pits now. What will Rudy do? I expect to see yellow tyre walls on that Verbal. He has gone soft. So Guy will take the lead. And now it's going to be Rudy's tyre longevity for 9 laps, but slower tyres versus Gaia's faster tyres, which won't last for as long.
Has Florian Gaia pulled off the master strategy stroke, or will Rudy Van Buren catch him like a hammer throw? This is going to be a really interesting battle to see how this strategy plays out. David Feidek, of course, in a similar boat to Florian Gaia. They both decided to make the super softs last to the bitter end, having got off the ultra softs as soon as humanly possible at the start. Michael Ayers getting out of the way of Florian Gaia. The Nordians are running 1 and 3 at the moment, with Diego Baldi in front of Risto Capit, but we believe that Diego Baldi needs to make another pit stop. So his chances of winning this race are almost certainly up in smoke if that is the case. But Matthew Allington says, I reckon that this race is Rudy's. That's not necessarily a bad call, because he's only 4.6 seconds behind Gaia. Gaia will need to be conservative on these tyres. Rudy won't be. He will be pushing like crazy, because he knows that these tyres will last a good dozen laps or so. Even at the limit, Florian Gaia is stretching the super softs to make the last 10. I think Rudy Van Buren might have won the best race of his season here.
Well, perhaps so. It's going to be an interesting battle between the two of them. Gedna says go, flow. So obviously some's got Florian Gaia support out there. To be honest, I'd love it if Gaia could win, because it's going to be a brilliant win for him. But whoever wins this race, it's going to be interesting. I think Van Buren has taken 4/10s out of them. Mazeas comes into the pits ahead of them. Van Buren takes 4/10s out of Gaia then in that second sector. So,
Van Buren pushing so hard through the Vale chicane.
He's got a squiggle on, hasn't he?
That is an absolutely
determined
racer. Absolutely determined racer, Rudy Van Buren.
Drops a 10th as a result, but in the long game, this might be working out for RVB. There are still 6 laps to go in this race. We're on lap 46, 52 in the race, of course. Not long to go now, 87% completion, but it's all about how quickly Van Buren can catch Gaia. But he's got to be careful. That's harder rubber he's on, and it won't give us much grip, or it'll take longer to give her a similar amount. So he's got to watch himself while they heat up as he takes the 10th out in sector 1.
I'm afraid Maurice Bracan has retired from the race now as well.
No.
In 15th position, and that was before the 90% mark as well, so he is not going to score points in this one, as Bart de Vos and Alex Cooper both choose this moment to pit in. Now, where is Bart de Vos in relation to Lee Morris? Only about 4 seconds in it now, so Morris is almost certainly going to make that push to 6th position. That's the best he can get from this race now. Van Buren, the gap is down to 4 seconds on Florian Gaia, but Gaia is on the top.
Sorry, I was going to say we'll have to see what it's like through sector 2. I've got no idea as it is yet. Looks like he's closing in, but I'm not sure. But it's going to be interesting to see how much he can close in if he closes in. Gaia comes through now. Van Buren is half a second he's gained.
This is tough. This is really tough. Florian Gaia desperately trying to hang on for his 2nd win in Super League, whereas Rudy Van Buren is going for another. Baldy's out! Baldy's out!
Is that a disconnection from Baldy? It looks like, yeah, it's just a straight disconnect, or maybe didn't stack into the wall or anything. He was on the ultra softs, and yeah, he just seems to have disconnected. Gergo Baldy from that position. That is a card breaker for the Bulgarian.
Well, that is a Rudy Van Buren in Russia, isn't it, for Gergo Baldi? Through the Beckett, he was looking good and out of the race.
Oh, now this is interesting. Van Buren drops a 10th in the final sector. So he's gaining it all in sector 2. And by law of averages, he's only gaining 4/10 a lap. Now, by that logic, I think if that continues, if Gaia can only lose 4/10 a lap to Van Buren, he's going to win this by about 1.2 seconds.
But let's point out how heartbreaking that is for Gergo Baldi, because of course they can retire from the race, but they need to have completed 90% of the race. It's 88% of the race completed now, so Gergo Baldi will not only retire from the race with only 7 laps to go, but he will not score any points, despite the fact that there are only 13 cars running. This is an absolute hammer blow for Gergo Baldi, but it's great news for Lee Morris in 6th position, because he will gain an advantage on his championship rival.
He will do, yes, unless Baldy gets back in and completes enough laps to be classified, in which case he will score some points. I think Baldy will be trying to get him back into the race, to be honest, try and, salvage something. But this is the crucial battle right here between Van Buren and Gaia. He has to pretty much gain the amount of time that he needs, otherwise, yeah, he takes another half a second out. But remember, he was slower in Sector 1 last time around. So if Gaia can gain pace in Sector 3, he can reduce the deficit. He needs to gain about 2/10.
This is so tight. This is ridiculously close, as Florian Gaia, again, just continues to edge out the gap. He's not pushing too hard here, Florian Gaia. He's just making the tyres work. And this is, it's an interesting point that Nero Tiberius writes. Super League has been very good this year to watch, even with the statistic that Florian Gaia, look, the gap is down to 2.6. Even with the statistic that Rudy Van Buren has won 4 races in a row and 5 out of the 5 out of the 7 so far, it has still been fascinating to watch, because the way that Rudy Van Buren has won these races has been absolutely amazing. The gap down to 2.6. Can Florian Gaia hang on for these last 5 laps?
He needs to lose no more than half a second a lap, and Van Buren took about 7/10 out of them in the last lap, so he's going to need to do it. But Van Buren, he might make it 5 from 5, but he's going to have to have worked for it. It's not like he's ran away with this.
Well, the only lap you need to lead in GPVWC Super League and in any form of motor race is the last one. And maybe Rudy Van Buren is just going to sit behind Florian Gaia and wait to make his move on the final lap when he knows that he is going to be so vulnerable. Florian Gaia is losing time to Rudy Van Buren. Van Buren on soft tyres, not needing to push too hard here at all. He's been very sensible about just utilising the super softs throughout the entirety of the race so that he can make the sensible call. And he made the call to go onto soft tyres when he knew he'd have better tyres towards the end of the race than Florian Gaia. As they come across the line, this time 2.3, so he's not made as much of a gain.
Yeah, he hasn't. He needs to get a good last sector here. Alex Cooper's actually set the fastest lap of the race, 1:34 dead. So Cooper not done yet, maybe going to go for positions. But Van Buren, as he rightly say, not making enough time up in that sector, and he needs to get an average of 0.5 every lap for this to work. And if it doesn't work out for him, he's not going to win this race. Going to be crucial to see what he does in this last set. Going to wiggle on out of the final 10. Van Buren will not gain anything.
This could not be tighter to the flag, as Florian Gaia has just 4 laps of this race still to go. And he's got to make these tyres last.
He lost it into turn 1 that would have coming into the main turn there. I think he's pushing those softs too hard.
Well, to be fair, Rudy Van Buren wants to make it 5 wins in a row. I'm not entirely sure time that's happened in Super League. He really wants to make this happen. Has he just cost himself the chance to go for it? His advantage is that Florian Gaia is still trying to make the tyres work long term, but Rudy Van Buren definitely looking under pressure here. It's all on him. He wants to keep his winning streak going. Florian Gaia has already done most of the hard work. He now just needs to keep the tyres strong enough that he can be in a strong position on the final lap. But 2.3 seconds is the gap, and there's 3.5 laps to go. Rudy Van Buren is a man on a mission, but this is Florian Gaia's race to lose. The question is, will he lose it?
That's the question. It's all going to be about how quick Gaia is, really, and how quick Van Buren is. And if Van Buren makes any mistakes, oh, this is tense, Jake.
I've never seen it go down to the wire like this. Not in a race that I've commentated on online anyway. Absolutely brilliant as these two continue to push for the battle. 2 seconds is now the gap as Van Buren needs to find half a second a lap from now to the end of the race and hope that he gets in the slipstream. He could take the lead here into the final chicane on the last lap. That is how close this race is going to be as Gaia, a little puff of smoke from the tyres as he goes into the left-right of the Vale chicane. But Gaia has enough of a gap to win this race if he just keeps on plugging away.
At the moment, at least, yeah, Van Buren's not making it up in sectors 1 and 3. He's not making it up. He needs to make more time in sector 2 than he is. And with we're on lap 53 to go, Van Buren has to pretty much make up 7 tenths a lap. The demand's increased. Maybe Florian's got this if Van Buren's pushing too hard.
Lap 3 laps to go, sorry. Lap 50 of 52, and it is so close. Absolutely amazing. Matthew Allington writes that Rudy's had a mega sector 2.
Yeah, he did, but then he lost it in 1 and 3.
Oh dear. Oh dear, this is incredibly close.
To go back to your point about 5 race wins in a row, it has happened before. Joe Consiglio in 2011, 7 straight race wins at the end of the season. And that was actually the season where Lee Morris almost won the championship. So that goes to show how dominant Consiglio was. But Van Buren, if he wants to make it 5 out of 5, he's going to have to work very hard because he's only gained a 10th on Gaia in the first. He's lost a 10th.
No, Gaia's gained a 10th on Van Buren. So Van Buren is actually backs to the wall now. He's going to have to settle for second at this rate. Florian Gaia is not actually pushing any harder than he has done, but Van Buren, I think, may have to settle for second place here. He is not pushing enough to get this gap down to Florian Gaia. The gap now comes down to 1.9, but that is enough.
He's got to gain more in sector 3. He can't be doing with this loss in sector 1. Florian is quicker there. Rudy, I think he might have cooked those softs just too soon, and he might have cooked his goose in the process. Unless he makes gains in sector 3, which he didn't do on the last lap, he is not going to catch Florian Gaia here. The gap looks to be similar by he's not going to come across onto the second last lap here. And Gaia's gap across the line from 1.9 to 1. No, it's gone up. I don't think he's going to do it. I think Gaia's got this.
Hang on a second, because of course we know that Florian Gaia is trying to stretch out these tyres to last 10 laps when they've usually lasted 8 to 9. Gaia is doing everything he possibly can to make these tyres last. He's got 2 more to do. He's been on them for 8 laps already. Yeah, but it's all about whether they fall off on the last lap.
But here's the thing, Van Buren Van Buren just hasn't had the pace to catch him, and Gaia, we know how good he is on the tyres. If they're going to drop off at the start, they're dropping off already. He's got to get a second a lap, Van Buren. It's going to be close, and the tie through second 1. I think this is going to be Gaia's race. I think it's going to be a stunning win.
And it will be probably the greatest win he's ever had in the history of sim racing in terms of his career.
He's only had 2 Super League wins before, I think.
I think he's only had the 1, actually.
No, he has had 2, but this will be his lucky 3rd.
Well, this would be an amazing victory for him if he does it, and he's going to beat not just any old racing driver in a straight fight, but Rudy Van Buren. Only Gergo Baldi has beaten him in a straight fight this year as a result of the wet weather strategy at the Chinese Grand Prix on the 3rd round of the championship.
Now, though. He looks a lot closer now, though. I'll have to see what the sector times are like. He's gained half a second in sector 2. But remember, Gaia is better in sector 3, historically, from what we've seen.
If the tyres are good. If the tyres are good.
He goes wide there, but he still needs to catch up on the last lap. He'll need to gain a whole second better. And I think he's lost time, actually, in this last sector to come on the last lap.
This is so tight. There's going to be 1 lap of this battle between Florian Gaia and Rudy Van Buren, but perhaps Florian Gaia has done enough. The gap has gone the same. It's the same amount of time, 1.5 seconds. I'm not so sure Rudy Van Buren can gain this on Florian Gaia as we go into the last lap. I think Flo has done enough, and it would be an absolutely incredible fillet for the Norwegian team to finally get their first win of 2017, and Florian Gaia to set to become the 4th different winner of this year, to follow in the footsteps of Rudy Van Buren, who's won 5 of them this year, 4 in a row, but his winning streak might be about to come to an end. For Alex Cooper and for Gergo Baldi, who have won races this year, but nobody yet has beaten Rudy Van Buren in a straight fight in the drive. Van Buren lost the Russian Grand Prix because of a disconnect, and he lost the Chinese Grand Prix in the wet to Gergo Baldi. This is going to be an amazing victory for Florian Gaia.
Van Buren is trying his best to close in, but he was 2 tenths up on Gaia that time around. But 1.4 seconds in 2 seconds, even for a talent that, in my opinion, is one of the best we've had in Superleague history, even for Rudy Van Buren, this is asking a little bit too much now, in my opinion. 1.4 seconds over 2 sectors, and he's got to gain in the last sector where Gaia has historically been quicker. He's going to try, but I don't think he's going to get it. And, well, we've talked about Florian Gaia this season, haven't we, Jake Sanson? He's been odds on in terms of speed, but his luck has not been there. But as he rounds Stowe and round the final couple of corners, this time it's going to be luck is there. It's going to be cash back for Germany and Norway.
Well, this is the perfect revenge for the start for Florian Geyer. He would have felt very aggrieved with Van Buren at the start, but he's made the perfect comeback. Nordtjen got the strategy right out of the final turn, and Florian Geyer has won the British Grand Prix. Absolutely brilliant victory for Florian Geyer. That is a magnificent fight here in Super League. He beats Rudy Van Buren in a straight fight by just a second. David Feidek, third position. What a day for Nordtjen as the boys come up to each other on the rolling down lap, and what a win for Florian Geyer. Whether he wins the championship this year or not is no longer of importance here at Silverstone. He has beaten the championship leader, the runaway championship leader, in a straight fight. Risto Capit is fourth over the line. Bart de Vos is going to come home for fifth place. Lee Morris, a frustrating race, it has to be said for him, but a good fight back nonetheless to come home sixth. Seventh place will be Alex Cooper in front of Thomas Hinz, Fran Lopez, hopefully going to hang on in front of David Francic, with Ben Schubenek, Tobias Olsen and Michael Ayers. They will be the final few drivers home. But what a drive from Florian Geyer. I've never seen it come down to the wire quite like that in GPVWC firsthand. But what a race and what a drive from Florian Geyer.
Did I not say at the start of this race from second Geyer could be a threat? Well, what a win for Florian Geyer that was. Feidek and Geyer showing that Nordtjen are not done yet. They are very much in title contention still. Better car than Vodbo, and that's what it does. It gets you ahead of Van Buren. It won't get him the championship lead, but he won't care. But a couple of shout-outs, actually. Michael Ayers points on debut for Red Archer. That's great for him as well. Great result for Lopez from the back to ninth. Hinz 8th, he'll be relatively pleased with. Morris 7th, Morris 6th, Cooper 7th, DeVos top 5 for Kerr now. Lots of drivers doing well here, but Van Buren, second he is, but it'll feel like a failure.
Yeah, absolutely. In this season, nothing less than a victory will do. And to be fair to him, he gave it all that he possibly could. But what a sensational drive that was from Florian Geyer. When you look at how miserable his season has been up to now, that is just the fillet he needed to get himself back into contention, back on terms of motivation. And Florian Geyer winning a truly sensational victory here at Silverstone. Sometimes you just need a little bit of smart thinking, a bit of blue sky thinking to get the job done when you know that the dominant force of 2017 has been absolutely unbeatable. But no, he is beatable. And the team that did it was Nordtjen. They made it count. Absolutely fantastic result and a brilliant run from Florian Geyer and David Feidek. Well done to Feidek as well. Don't forget, he did cost Rudy Van Buren a second in that last run of pit stops, which was crucial to give Florian Geyer that little bit of a gap he needed. Absolutely brilliant results. Well, it looks like Tobias Olsen has had a bit of an off on the last lap.
Yeah, I was going to say, hurry away, but he's managed to get it back.
Tobias Olsen did a Kimi Raikkonen on the last lap. He lost it just under the bridge at Wellington Straight and was driving around with a broken car at the very end. He drops to 12th position behind Hinz, Lopez, Francic, Schubenek. Olsen finishing off in 12th place. A really disappointing end to his day. But what an absolutely sensational run. I can't tell you what Florian Geyer has written on the chat because it's
unbroadcastably good.
Yeah, it's unbroadcastably
that's how happy he is.
Yeah, he's unbroadcastably happy with that one, and we can't really blame him. An absolutely sensational victory. Let's get Rudy Van Buren in the room straight away, though, after a tough race. Rudy, we thought it could be done today. We thought that 5 on the bounce could be done. You gave it everything, but it was just so tough, this one.
Not enough gamble on strategy, which already you could see in qualifying by going on the super soft and not on the ultra soft, hoping it would pay off in the first stint, but not being in clear air early enough didn't work in our favor. Simple. Got beaten up fair and square today, don't get me wrong, but gambled on strategy, gambled wrong, came up 1 lap short. Good championship points, car was on point. Just straightforward to the next race.
And of course, in terms of the championship fight, you have actually gained on your rivals, on both Lee Morris and on Gergo Baldi. So from that point of view, it's still a positive race, but it must be so frustrating when you came that close to the win.
Nah, beating up fair and square, then it's all good. It's worse when you get punted off or whatever and then lose a race in that way, or something like Sochi where they get a disconnection 3 laps right from the end. This was fair and square, Didn't have enough in it. Tried my best. Came up short.
Fantastic. Fair enough, and a great fight.
Championship. Thanks to the sponsors, and we'll be back in Hungary.
Yeah, you will be back in Hungary, really, because it's just your thing. And of course, you'll hold the Leader Drivers' Championship as well in all this. Let's not forget that. You are still going to strongly hold the Leader Drivers' Championship. And while, not winning this race might be a setback, in the grand scheme of things, you are still very much leading things.
No, I don't see this as a setback. P2 is a very solid result, and it could be way worse. It's good, solid points. Congrats to Florian again, and we'll try again next time.
Yeah, we know you do like winning, but still, as you rightly say, P2, a solid result, isn't it, Jake?
Absolutely brilliant. Great drive, and thank you so much all the way to the death, Rudy. You gave us A-grade entertainment. Thank you for that.
Ciao, ciao.
Right, let's get our race winner into the room after an absolutely astonishing performance. In fact, let's get both the drivers from Nordsian in at the same time. Let's get them both in the room. An absolutely amazing run from Nordsian today. The master strategists, Florian Geyer and David Feidek, join us after their champagne celebrations on the podium. Flo, what a drive. What an amazing run. You've done it. You've gone on the top step. What a race.
Yeah, hello, guys. Oh.
Can you breathe? Can you breathe? Breathe, my friend.
No, it's pretty hot here.
Let's get the oxygen over to Germany quickly.
Yeah, we also got a thunderstorm outside, so it's all right. No, man, I'm lost for words. Finally we both got on the podium this year. We always said to each other, we can take the fight to Watt Bull if everything goes clean for us. And I think today we showed that we could have done it, and we did do it. So, yeah, it's all smiles, I think, today. Qualify. Yeah.
All smiles from both of us as well. It wasn't just you smiling. We were smiling throughout the entirety of that battle with Van Buren there. That was a sensational battle. And ultimately, your strategy seems to have worked out. And, you finally toppled the untoppable. So, Nordstjen perhaps coming back into it?
Well, I got to start from quali, It didn't go that well. I mean, I got P3, but the lap was not that good. And also for Dave, we both know we could go on faster. So that's something we still got to work on to nail qualifying when it counts. Because it hurts, you take risks you don't have to when you're in the pack. So, got to work on that. Apart from that, it was all pretty clean. And, we stuck to strategy. And it worked out pretty well, I'm pretty surprised actually that we done one less stop or had to or was able to run the softer tire than Watt Bull. Normally they're the best on tires and all that shit. And today we turned it around on them. So I don't know, man. We just worked hard, flat out since Canada. It gave us a good boost, the result there, and today it just shows we aren't champions for nothing,
Amazing. I've got to ask very quickly, actually, that incident at the start where, Rudy made a fantastic getaway from the second row and came up alongside you. He squeezed you into the wall a little bit there. Was that the catalyst, really, where you kind of said, right, if that's the way this is going to be, we're going to get one over on him, we're going to beat him? Or was that not really part of the plan?
To be honest, yeah, I remember, I thought at the first moment my engine was gone because I was hitting the limiter, and then I was shifting up, third, fourth, fifth, and then the engine kept hitting the ref limiter, and, I thought it was already done. I don't know what happened. It was a bit naughty. I think it's not something he needs. He got rocket-like starts anyway, so why the hell do you need to squeeze me on the wall like that? He's leading the championship by miles. Why is he taking such risks? But it wasn't really the factor that got this today. We always want to win. So no matter what the others do with us, we try and race hard.
Fantastic. Well, let's talk to David. Let's talk to David Feidek. David, that was a really, really strong race from you as well. I mean, obviously, it was clear that once Flo got himself into the lead, he was the one going to be challenging for the ultimate victory. Was there a point in that race where you kind of realized, that is what we need to be focusing on here? We can't be backing each other up. I'm going to play the team game. Or were you always pushing for the win?
I think that's how me and Florian have always played it. Whoever's faster, don't hold each other up. Just go for it, unless, we're not fighting for a position ahead. So yeah, there was no discussion or nothing in that. I mean, once Florian did his first stop, I needed to pit 2, but we were too close, so I had to do an extra lap. That lost me 5 seconds, and that put me in traffic, and it was 8 seconds by the time I got in clear air again. And I closed it back down to 5 or 4.7 at the end, so it shows we could have had the 1-2 if it was a bit better for me, but that's all my fault because quali was just pathetic, so it was all down to that on my end. But yeah, take nothing away from Florian, man. The guy drove like hell today. He's we've proved that all the hard work and having a clean race, we can challenge the guys. The work we do on our tyres is paying off. I mean, we did 2 less stops, I think, than Vodball. But yeah, first and third,
Can't say better than that, can you?
Well, no, you can't.
And you guys have come away with 41 points today in the Constructors' Championship as well. That's really, I know it's not a huge consolation in terms of the fact that that's a 103-point deficit you guys have had to take into it, but you guys, fair and square, you beat them. That's got to be something that you can take going into the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I know I repeat it a lot, but with the tyres, the way we've got the tyres working is playing to our advantage at the moment. It got me from 10th to 2nd in Monaco, and I did 3 less stops, and same again here. It got me from, I think I was 9th after the first lap up to 3rd. If it wasn't for the traffic, should have been 2nd. But yeah, I mean, like I said in the interview last race to Josh, the first quarter of a season, half a season, I am nowhere near pace. I always struggle to find either a rhythm with the car, the setup, or the tyres. In 10 years of racing, I've won Australia once or twice. So you know how much time it takes me to build up, and the second half of the season is always stronger for us. So yeah, and we're going the right way on car development now as well. So the gap should be getting closer, if not ahead.
Does that mean then that the Rudy Van Buren freight train is coming to a permanent halt now? Are you guys going to start winning races like crazy for the rest of the year?
Well, that's the plan. I mean, for Florian, yes. For me, not so much, because I've got a kid on the way soon, so I only did a few days of testing for this race, and it'll be even less for the next one, and then when the baby's born, it'll be test on race day. So yeah, it's a bit manic for me at the moment, but all I'm working towards is Florian, so he's the one that's got to bring in the wins.
Well,
no pressure flow.
May I say congratulations on that? I had no idea.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And,
welcome to my universe.
I think I'm lucky enough to not have to worry about that.
I'll tell you what, we'll do a fair trade-off. You teach me how to be a faster sim racer. I'll tell you all you need to know about being a dad. I've done it 3 times. I know exactly everything there is to know.
Yeah.
Is that a fair trade-off?
I think it's a fair trade-off. I think Florian probably thinks he's able to make a great dad.
Considering this is my 3rd child, my eldest is 10, so yeah. I've been here for a while.
already know how then. I know, but I was going to say that you and Florian go back a while, don't you? So, having a guy like him on your team, working towards that together, it must make it more profitable, working with someone who you know so well and who you're such great friends with.
I've said it so many times. I've got the best teammate in sim racing. I mean, the dedication this guy has for testing every single lap, looking at Motec, looking at telemetry, sharing data, making sure we're both having the car on race day to do the best we can. And yeah, I mean, we've been in other leagues together and dominated, 1-2s almost every race of the season. And, you couldn't ask for a better teammate. And, I just hope I'm paying back the favor he's given me, because sometimes when I haven't got the time to test, he sends over a setup and boom, we're the same speed, if not quicker. So, yeah, the guy's a legend and a very good friend.
Yeah, great teammate to have. Don't do that. Well, honestly, nowadays, definitely a great teammate to have. A lot better than me at the 2014 Race of Champions, though. Let's not forget that when the David T. Duncan got whitewashed.
Sorry, mate. My old age is catching up a bit.
I know, what are you talking about? I was like Jean-Denis Delatraz out there.
Sorry, mate. Sorry. Yeah.
That's your fault. It was me.
David, Florian, congratulations. It's great to have you both on the podium, and Nordsian's first win of 2017 as well. Congratulations. We'll see you at Hungary in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Right.
Thank you.
It's time to get one more Brit on the podium before we wrap things up. Lee Morris, who basically played the Michael Schumacher Monaco 2010 role today. Lee, fastest in qualifying. That was a mega lap. If you hadn't have had that starting grid penalty, this race could have been so different from you. But it all kind of kicked off in the first corner. How did you see the incident with Jarl Tane and Alex Cooper and yourself? What happened there?
Just to correct you, it was 2012.
Oh, 2012. Sorry, yeah, it was 2012. Thank you. You've correctly corrected a commentator on something. You're absolutely right. 2012. Sorry. But yes, do carry on.
Yeah, turn one. Another wasted pole. That's 2 poles on the trot. Obviously, we had a back of grid last race and then +5 this race. We did appeal the +5, but it failed, unfortunately. So it stood. So I didn't know that until the warm-up session. I didn't know I was going to be starting P6 till the warm-up session because with the appeal only went through today. So a bit disappointed not to start from pole. Obviously, home race, wanted to do well, and really good pace, 2.5 tenths. And going to turn 1, it was pretty chaotic in front of me into turn 1. Something happened, like there was a little bunch up, but then we got through it, and then we got to the next part, and Jarl Tien just came across slightly, and he came across me slightly, and then my front wing clipped his rear tyre slightly. And that caused a spin, and my car got whacked into, and basically I had loads of damage. I had big flat spots on the tyres all around, so I had to box, obviously, end of lap 1, getting the new set of tyres.
So it was a very difficult race from that point, and then obviously I guess it was just try and make up as much time as possible, but you had to pit, I think, it was at the end of the first or the second lap in the first point, because the damage was so severe, and that basically put your backs to the wall for the rest of the race in terms of strategy. I
mean, we're struggling with tyres again all week, trying to make them last and be competitive. But obviously I was trying to make up time, so I was pushing them extra hard. I was basically driving quali laps, and the tyres were lasting 4 laps, which was no good. So I was just pushing, trying to make up time. It was Bart de Vos who was my target to get back to, because he was the guy I thought I could catch. And I think I took nearly 20 seconds out of him in the race. But on the last stop, I tried something different and put the soft tyre on to try and jump him and then have the pace in front of him. Trying something different on strategy, basically trying to get in front of him, because every time I caught him up in the middle of the stint, he had better tyre wear than me in tyre management, because he wasn't pushing as hard, basically, I think. But there's one thing I have to say about these tyres is I really feel like it's penalising the faster drivers. And this is no offence to anyone else, but I really feel like, today I've took pole again by 2.5 tenths, and all the guys that finished in front of me, I was half second faster than. And as soon as it comes to race, like the way I drive is is very much on the front end, and I've really tried my best over the last few weeks to try and sort this front end out. So I'm not relying on the front grip, and it's just impossible. I just cannot do it. So basically, I just end up wearing the tyres out after 3 laps. Whereas, I looked at some of the super stuff stints people are doing today, and people like Gaia and that were getting 10 laps out of them, I think. And I could do 5 laps, 6 laps, and it's like they're just gone. I do not understand what I can do to make them last.
I was mentioning throughout the broadcast, Gergo Baldi was pretty much Ultrasofts the whole race, then Supersofts to the end.
Yeah, he's got the same problem.
He was the same thing. So you might need to have taken a page out of his book, perhaps. But I agree. It's not really something we like to see. Carl's making 10 and 11 pit stops, but obviously it works with Gergo.
He had the well. He does it because I know how good Baldi is. I raced with him in SRZ. He was my teammate there. We should have won the championship there. We've both raced Tweez and Greco and all this lot, and we've beaten them. But yeah, he's a quick driver just like myself, but he's struggling so much. I know he is because I can see him on board when I watch him, and I spoke to him about it. To basically not overheat the front tyres, and it's so poor, like how these tyres are modeled. I hate these tyres. I really hate these tyres, honestly. Yesterday when we did a stint, me and my teammate Nick, we did some stints, and basically on lap 4, even though he was a second and a half faster than me in the early part of the stint, by the lap 4 of the stint, he was actually lapping faster than me because he just cruised round. Whereas I was attacking.
Yeah,
And it's like I can't find the in between. So it's really off-putting, and it really puts you off testing and driving and wanting to race when you know you come into a race. I said to him last night, I'll never win. I will never win this season with these tires. And that's an absolute fact right now. Even if Rudy retired, even if Oliver was retired, I will not win a race, because in the race, for some reason, I just cannot make my style work with these tires because they just overheat. It's nothing to do with it's not the wear rate. It's nothing to do with the wear rate. I can make them last as long as anyone. The problem is my style puts a lot of thermal deg into the front tires, and they just slide and slide and slide, so they wear faster and faster. And I genuinely don't know how to do it. We need help, basically. I'm going to start asking for help because.
So basically, what you're saying is this season, I guess, for the remaining 10 races of the championship, you're kind of knocking your head against the brick wall a little bit in terms of being in a situation that no matter what you guys do in terms of the car development, you guys really don't have any major progress that you can make other than, being strong over one lap so you can get a great qualifying performance. But then it's just a case of how far do you fall back in races?
Well, this is the annoying thing, because today in the last race, it looks like we just focused all on quali all week and put in an amazing quali lap and then took pole and just been nowhere in race, a bit like Yarrow Trulli or something.
Yeah.
It makes it look like we just focused on qualifying. I'm a one-lap specialist or something. That's not the case. I did no qualifying testing until today.
Yeah.
Right? We did race work for 2 weeks solid. 5 hours yesterday, 5 hours the day before, just constant race work, and I had a really good feel for it. As soon as it comes to race, once again, no time. I don't know if it's because the lack of upgrades on the car mean we have to push a little bit faster, harder in the race, so therefore we can't take it as easy. And I don't know if it's because the last 3 or 4 races I've been out of position, so I've been trying to make up the gap. Whereas if I had started on pole today, maybe I could have run with the front guys and not had to push as hard, if you know what I mean, to make up the time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but I really felt a lot more confident going into this race with the things we found. But once again, it's just not worked out. And I know a lot of people are complaining about the tyres, and I really really hope they change them, because I feel like we're really quick. I feel like I'm really quick in this. I feel like I've got the speed in R-Factor 2 now. And that's no disrespect to any of these other guys, because I know they've just done a better job in race trim. That's all it is. They've just done a better job at race trim.
It's a difficult one. I'm hoping that, we go to the next round of the championship with the Hungara, and not only are we able to put it on pole, but there's genuine pace in the Mad Cake. We hope that there's going to be a much stronger race for you guys as the season goes on, and that you will pick up a race or two in terms of victories, because we know you've got the pace to do it. It's a shame that you weren't able to do so on home soil today, but a good fight back to get into the top 6, and we wish you all the best for the Hungara Ring in 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much, Lee.
Thank you. Sorry for all the moaning.
No. Your racing drivers have got to figure out what is, where the deficit is and get on top of it. It's fascinating to hear. I know, I'm very well aware it's frustrating, and it is a real shame. I can obviously understand.
We're not giving up, though.
But
we're not giving up. Sorry, we're not giving up. That's the thing. I'm going to prove all these doubters wrong and say I can't finish the season. This will be the season.
Good for you, Lee.
This is when it changes.
Yeah, I love that motivation. Keep it up, mate. We absolutely love it. Good job.
Cheers, guys.
Right, let's bring in our last man, and it's the man we always get a good opportunity to chat to. And again, some strong points from the Australian. Thomas Hinds is joining us one more time. Thomas, good to see you. Some good battles in that one, and yet again, more entertainment.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Just thought I'd slip in for a cheeky little interview, because there has actually been a few races I've just been plodding along.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's been it was a good race. Interesting at the start. Obviously, all the carnage out of the second corner. I was very lucky to escape that, because it all sort of kicked off right in front of me, and sort of put the brakes on to try and avoid it. And I was lucky that the guys behind were aware as well, and they sort of backed off as well, because it could have easily been a bit of a sandwich situation. So it was a bit dicey on that first lap. Got through in the end, just tried to keep clean. I think it was still about 11th by the end of it after all the shenanigans. I sort of held position in the end. And then, it was just a case of the strategy. Once again, the strategy, always the strategy. I knew I wasn't going to be as quick on that pace, so I just aimed for strategy. I don't actually know how many stops I did at this point, but I'm guessing 4 or 5, I think is what I did. But that was sort of the aim. As always, I just tried to stretch the stints at the start as long as I could, and then we sort of aimed for one stop there at the end once we got towards the end of the race, and managed to make that work. Came out ahead to Tobias in the last stop. That was really crucial. There was Olsen, Lopez, and a whole bunch of them were fighting over 10th at the time. We wanted to beat him out. I just got him, and that was key, because otherwise I would have been in that scuffle. So that was handy. We were hoping to maybe get Cooper, but he beat me out of the pits, and he just had too much pace. So but 8th in the end, I'll take that. It's another good solid points result, and it was good fun. I enjoyed it. The car felt sublime, really, really stable. It was great. I mean, it may not have been as quick on one lap pace, but it was really stable. I was able to be really consistent and make the strategy work once again, as always. So in terms of how my race always plays out. So yeah, no, it was, yeah, as you say, good battles. I held at one point I sort of held up lead a little bit for a few laps. I think the broadcast I was just looking back then, caught a lap of it where he was stuck behind me. That was interesting, a little bit fun, just having Lee not getting past me for a while. It's not something I thought I would see, but yeah, no, it worked out well. It's good fun in the end, yeah, for sure.
Cracking race, absolutely brilliant. And again, more points on the board for the team. So hopefully going into the next round of the championship at the Hungaroring, there's going to be more from you and a little bit more further progress made.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah. I was just mentioning before about the Hungaroring. It's going to be interesting to see the stops because we might have a lot because it's Hungaroring. Yeah,
it's quite
it's
higher heavy track, isn't it? It's one of those tracks. You might expect someone like Gigabaldi to go around and do 50 billion stops. But he's like, okay, I've done one lap on these tires. I'm coming in.
I'm legitimately. I was thinking I wouldn't be surprised if we legitimately see one or two people maybe do double-digit stops. Well, it depends on, again, this might, if there, as has been mentioned, I'm sure already, if there's any legitimacy for the hard tire or anything like that, that'll be the track to do it. Again, I'm sure I think you lose way too much time to do it, but you never know. Someone might try something different, just throw it up. But no, it should be fun. I don't mind Hungaroring, and I think, again, if I can make the strategy work, it could be really good for me. And obviously, it's pretty difficult to pass there. So if I can do low wing again, like I had today, it seemed like I had pretty low wing compared to everybody else. If I could make that work, I could make it. I mean, I could do okay and be a real annoyance once again.
Well, you're never an annoyance. You're always a pleasure to have around, but maybe you can be an annoyance for other drivers if you do well. And maybe after the Hungary, maybe you can crack out in a Foster's, put some steak on the bob. You never know, it's big celebration if you get a good result.
Yes, I think I probably would legitimately.
Yeah.
But yes.
and then you can execute me for doing a terrible Aussie accent.
No, it's I've heard worse, surprisingly.
Take care, Thomas. Thank you very much indeed once more.
No worries. Well, thank you, guys.
Brilliant. Well, that means that we're about to wrap. We're going to set ourselves up for the halfway point of the season. 2 weeks' time, of course, the Hungarian Grand Prix from Budapest. A race circuit I know and love very well indeed. It's one of the only circuits on the Grand Prix calendar I've actually been to in person, and I can tell you that they're really going to have their work cut out for them. And yes, an interesting Monty Python line thrown into the mix there for Josh for next 2 weeks' time. It will be something completely different, won't it?
It will be something. It'll be a total switch around. We might see tons of pit stops in that race. We might see not at all if people go for the harder tyres. It is going to be something totally different from Silverstone. Going to be difficult to overtake, a bumpy track, a difficult track. Going to be very interesting. Pole position around there is going to be crucial. But, it's crucial that you don't miss Hungary in 2 weeks' time.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed, Josh. Once again, it's been an absolute pleasure for the last 2 hours or so. We really loved it.
And it's been a pleasure commentating alongside you once again, Jake.
So all you guys have to do is put the dates in your diary for the next round of the championship. Of course, it is exactly 2 weeks from now, Super League. But of course, we'll get a great warm-up from Formula Challenge and Super Cup on the Tuesday and Wednesday. 2 weeks from now, same time, same place. Josh and I will be back in the saddle once again for more great action from the Super League Championship in GPVWC. Huge thank you to Argo Tida, manning the cameras and the broadcast for us as well, to all of the people behind the scenes. Well done to all of the drivers, and to you, thank you very much indeed for watching. We'll see you again 2 weeks from now with all of the great action from the Hungaroring. That man over there is Josh Anderson. I'm Jake Sanson. We'll see you again in 2 weeks' time at the Hungaroring.